Production costs were $8,000
That's brilliant.
all up.
That's great.
Yeah, it's definitely the.
And that was mostly through a grant?
I think it was when Anthony gets here, he'll be able to fill you in more. A guy named Jag Panu put in a few $1,000s. I don't think there was any actual grant money.
Oh, okay.
It was all seed investing or just people putting in money
And then it made its money back?
I think it's just about to.
Oh, that's good.
I
everybody's time they put in is just free time, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I ended up watching it like 120 times. So.
To edit and edit. And
Yeah, I was putting the sound in and making sure the sound was right, and so I'd watch a scene and then I'd sit on it for a week or so and then make the music for it, and then go back in
Fantastic.
and the guy that was doing the sound design, like making sure that like all the noises are out of it.
Yeah.
And, I ended up getting that job as well.
Oh, Jesus.
Is
that something you would do on Premiere Pro with the sound, or?
Premiere Pro isn't that good for sound.
Oh, fair enough.
I actually ended up using an old program, which ended up being bought out by Adobe Audition.
Mm-hmm.
Cool Edit Pro.
Okay.
When I used to be in radio, like decades ago, and we used to use Cool Edit Pro to do all our. It's just really easy to do all the editing, and it's got all the sound stuff in it. And
Hopefully, I'm never going to end up having to do audio editing seriously, and hopefully, I'll never need to know that factoid. I've just started doing video editing because I've been making some videos, because my YouTube channel is Durty Church.
Durty Church
with a U. Like
I've been really enjoying them.
Oh, very good. I tell you what, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Good.
But somebody taught me how to use Premiere Pro, and then you just start experimenting. The first video I did was 4 minutes long. Took me like 35 hours of editing.
Yeah.
Not really. It was probably 20 hours of watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, you click on one thing, you're like, I don't know what that did. And then you got to watch a video on how do you get rid of the little magnet-looking thing. Ridiculous.
YouTube's awesome. Like, I taught myself how to do this within the last 10 weeks.
That's brilliant.
Live TV broadcasting, yeah.
Yeah, I taught myself how to weld and build a house using YouTube. I built a house out of sea containers.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a 2x1. So you got a container on one side that's your kitchen and your living area.
Yep.
And then I built a deck in between. They're each 40 foot long. And then in the other one, you got a bedroom, bathroom, bedroom. And I built it here on a mate's property, and I was going to live in it for 3 months. And I said to my missus, look, we'll sell our traditional house, your double brick, move into this thing for a few months, make sure it's watertight, and then we'll buy a normal house. We realized we didn't have a mortgage. Got it approved by the council over near Coburn Cement, and lived in it for 3.5 years.
Just down here.
Yeah, bloody brilliant, because I live now in Spearwood.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, you're not far at all.
No, and before when I was building it, we were living in Aurelia.
Yep, down Quinana.
Yeah, so I was working my job, doing 35 hours a week, and then doing that about 35 hours a week. It was a great experience, but it was insane. But anyway, so sometimes people go, if I'm going to do this, where would I start? And I always say to people, don't. I put in 1,000 hours. Part of that was...
So what's that? 12 weeks?
It
40 hours.
took me 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 35 hours a week for 6 months. But part of it admittedly, probably spent 200 hours running back and forth to the store, running up to Yanchep and stuff to buy a bathtub, whatever. That's 2 hours each way, or hour and a half each way. And then I probably spent 200 hours just staring at the walls, going, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to get the insulation to stay? Do I build a whole framing system? Do I just glue stuff to the walls? And then I did gyprock and I air con and I put ceiling fans in it because they were high cubes, 2.9 meters.
Yep.
So you can have a ceiling fan in there without hitting your head. And then the great thing was when it's 43 degrees out, you got to pump the air con. But as soon as the sun goes down, there's no double bricks to hold the heat. Cool off like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we lived in that. And
I always wanted to do one.
Dude, it was wicked. I'm so glad I did it. And then I was going like, what are we going to do with it now? We bought a piece of land in Tasmania, 5 acres for $70,000.
Yep.
Don't tell anybody that. Nobody should buy Tasmania.
Tasmania's horrible.
Horrible. It's terrible.
Horrible.
There's no work, and it's full of people with no teeth. It's like moving to Kentucky.
Apparently, it just all burnt down last week.
Yeah,
so.
burnt down. That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been having droughts as well, and you can't grow anything. You got nothing but sand over there. Anyway, so 5 acres, and then I put these containers on a train, sent them over there, and then a builder has put them up on piers, put a main roof over the top. Now he's building a floor, a front and back wall of the main area because there's 6.5 meters in between by 12 meters long. So the internal area is like, what is that, 80 square meters, 75 square meters, 78. There we go. 78 square meters. Just a big open area. And the whole reason I wanted this big open area is that my daughter and I can kick a footy in there. That's it. My wife was like, why are you doing this? I don't know. Anyway, and then they'll render the outside, so you can't even tell it's sea containers. And then the main walls for the kitchen that lead into the big area, and, well, not from the bedrooms, but the main kitchen on the wall, the main wall on the kitchen, I'll cut out. And then it'll just open into the big open area. Then you put a big fireplace. And people go, oh, it's so cold. Have you been to Tassie?
It's the only part of Australia I've never been to.
You're missing out. Best kept secret in Australia.
Except that it's horrible.
Yeah, except that it's horrible. That's correct. The greatest things about Australia, I've told Americans this that I know back in the States, and that is you can say the C-bomb in regular conversation. You guys have skimpies.
Yep.
And Tasmania, which is a horrible place. I'm not going to move over there anytime soon because it is a bit cold, but it's not that cold. Like where I'm from, about every fourth winter it gets to 40 below zero.
And that is where?
Iowa, Illinois, along the Mississippi River. So I grew up half my time in
So
like
south of Detroit.
So if you go south from Detroit,
Chicago.
Yeah, well, okay.
Chicago,
So from
sorry.
Chicago, if you go 3 hours west, that's the Mississippi River.
Yep.
I was born in Davenport, Iowa. Out of my first kind of 18 years, we would have lived there 8 years in total. And then I spent about 8 or 10 years in the suburbs of Chicago. Hated it with a passion. I mean, Chicago itself, I don't know if you've been there. Have you been to the States?
I don't actually have a passport.
Yeah, well, look, the States is a great place to visit if you can make it out alive. But I would never want to live there. Too many people, too much traffic. Chicago's 11 million people. That's insane. Like, Perth has enough traffic problems. Now multiply
I
them
don't
by
know what
8.
Sydney is at the moment. It was 8.
Yeah, something like that. 7, 8, I've heard. Yeah, Chicago's probably bigger than it was before. But when I left 15 years ago, it was like, with the surrounding area, 11 million. Fuck that. Like, you would try to drive from the suburbs, which are only like, you're talking, you got to go 20 miles, right? Like 30K. And at 1:30 in the afternoon, it would take you an hour and a half.
Shit.
Just traffic backed up. Yeah, all my mates were always like, let's go down to the city. I was like, I think I'm just going to go fishing. I was the odd man out there. I remember being in high school, and the lads were talking, and I said, I am never marrying a girl from Chicago. And they were like, why? And I was like, because they're materialistic whores. And everybody was like, why would you say that? I'm like, I fucking hate this place. And they would go, well, where are you going to find a missus? I went, I'm going to find a small town missus. They were like, where are you going to find one of those? I was like, in a small town? And sure enough, first one I saw that had all her teeth, I was like, you want to get married? And she was like, hell yeah, I do. Let's make some babies. Actually, everybody in my wife's family has had children and they were married by like 20 to 21 and having kids by the time they were 22. Everybody thought everybody in her family thought she was barren forever. And I would tell them, oh, she's barren. And they were like, well, the good Lord will bless her when he's ready. and they say that shit. And so we didn't have our kid until 33. Because like we came to a new country, you're an immigrant, you got to get your act together. And you got to make some money. You got to get stable. You got to know that you have food on the table before you can like start making the babies. In my opinion, you don't have to. You can just get on the dole.
I managed to miss out on that whole experience. I've been engaged twice.
I thought you were just gonna say, "I've been gay for
No.
engaged."
Engaged.
Got it.
Engaged. Just to put it everywhere.
Enunciate.
Engaged.
Twice, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, so they
always
say.
managed to find the wildest women around.
That's good.
Can be at the time.
but they're not marriage material.
It's more of a cautionary tale.
It's so funny. Like, this doesn't apply to you, obviously, but for people who are like young married couples, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know. We might have kids. We might not. We might have 4." First of all, I have 1, right? And people will be like, "Oh, you should have another." Well, now they don't say that anymore because now that I'm 44 and I'm starting to like look older, they're like, you shouldn't have any more kids." They're like, "Your missus looks..." No, I'm just kidding. They're like, "She still looks wonderful. She should have another kid." And it's not going to happen. But I always think it's funny because people are like, "Oh, if you have 2, they play together and then it takes less time." My ass. I had a younger sister. We fought. That's all we did for like 15 years until I left. So I went off to uni. That's all we did was just fight. So I would not subject my child to that, in my opinion. However, let me continue to ramble, Scott. One second. I do highly recommend having 1 because it's an experiment. You get to see, can I make this person less fucked up than I was, right? And so then what's really cool is that this is why I always used to say, I had an ex-girlfriend who... she would ask everybody these questions. She had this list of like 20 questions. What's your favorite food? What's your favorite movie? One of the questions was, who's your favorite person? And she asked me these questions. She said, "Who's your favorite person?" I went, "Me."
She was ticking off a list, was she?
Yeah. She did it for fun. She always enjoyed it, right? Anyway, so I go, "Me." And she goes, "Well, nobody's ever answered like that." And I'm like, "Well, why wouldn't you? If you're not your favorite person, then you should make yourself your favorite person."
You should be doing something else.
This is what they say about comedy, that if you're not your favorite comedian, then you need to work harder to make yourself that level. So, anyhow.
You're going to find yourself funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was always my favorite person because I was like, I'm doing the things. I'm taking control of my health or my mind, my philosophy, whatever it is, to make myself the person I want to be. Then I had a kid. She's the only person where I will say she is my favorite person on the planet. Never thought I would say that. She's my favorite person, and this is why. Because all the good things about me, you can give her those things. You can teach her those things from a young age. And then all the things that I have as certain biases or drawbacks about my personality, if you're doing it consciously in an educated fashion, I can try not to give those to her. So all the best parts of me, she has, and all the worst parts of me, she doesn't. Which makes me go, I like her more than I like me.
Evolution is real, you reckon?
Yeah. Though I think in modern society, de-evolution is probably happening more readily than forward progress. Too many chemicals in society. Have another
They're
beer.
turning the frogs gay.
Huh? Alex Jones said that, and I saw a guy comment on a podcast about that, and he was laughing about it. What do you have more to say about that? That's based on actual research,
Yeah, it's actual research. You can look in your shampoos and your conditioners and most products. I'm an anti-product guy. I'll have soap and...
You don't use shampoo?
Newly trimmed, actually. But yeah, these phenols and all these different chemicals were actually they're hormones. They're hormones.
The thing that, and I remember this research was from at least 15 years ago. In the Everglades, the farms around the Everglades. So what is that? In Florida, is Southern Florida, Mid Florida. Well, I know it's in Florida. I don't know where in Florida. Western part of Florida. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm American. We don't know our geographies. I don't know. In Canada, somewhere there next to Mexico. Anyhow, so the farms there were leaching pesticides and fertilizers into the Everglades. And what they found after this had been happening a number of years, I don't know how many years, is that it was making the alligators' penises smaller. And they found it with the frogs as well, that it will disturb their physical sexual attributes. It also, they think, though it's hard to do this on animals, they can't test it as easily, and it'll never happen on humans, but they think that it affects something called the dysmorphic sexual nucleus of your brain. Which is dysmorphic, meaning like it means there's two parts to it, right? So now I've read this research, but I haven't studied it or done the research. But the way it works essentially is when you are a fetus and you're like, say, 4 weeks after conception, you're this tiny little thing, right? And you're neither male nor female.
Yeah.
Then testosterone comes in and stimulates this fetus in a certain way that causes one of two things to happen. Ovaries to form or testicles to drop. At the same time, it stimulates this part of your brain called the sexual dysmorphic nucleus. Now, they know that this is where what happens in the sexual dysmorphic nucleus is that part of your brain is where you recognize, how do I feel? Do I feel like a man? Do I feel like a woman? They know this when people have had brain tumors in that area. It gets destroyed. It gets removed, whatever. Then they go, well, I don't really feel like anything. So as a fetus, a human fetus, if you get, say, stimulation one way, and you go, man, I feel like a man, but ovaries form, then you've got ovaries, but you feel like a man. This is research that they're not going to continue to do because it's way too controversial. Can't talk about that stuff.
China, there's always China and Russia.
Ah, yeah, China will do it.
That'll go out there and...
You know, this is terrible. The thing that I'm not going to say like, and I'm not going to say respect, the thing I find intriguing about China, I don't think they ever have terrorist attacks, do they?
Yeah, you just never hear about them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Uyghurs...
I thought they just slaughter everybody who does anything.
The Uyghurs are Muslims from the West.
Yeah, don't they get themselves in a lot of trouble there, though?
Yeah, they've clamped down on them, and well, China clamps down on everybody.
Yeah, there's no religious freedom in China.
But you never hear about anything really that comes out of there, even if it's
well, they
massive.
control their media, don't they?
It's only like the big massive explosions like at Tajin. Did you ever see that explosion?
Mm-mm.
It was a pesticide plant that just.
I might have seen a little bit about it, but
it wasn't a terrorist attack. It was just an accident.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, look, I'm American, so that means I am by nature a conspiracy theorist. And I have to.
Well, you've been lied to just as much as everybody else.
And the whole thing is, though, every time something happens, so the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris burns down, right? Everybody's going, it's probably terrorists. That's what it is, damn terrorists. Maybe, you're never going to know, but people are just throwing random guesses based on nothing. Oh, there was some guy who they think had a petrol can. I don't even know. I haven't researched this. But
they found petrol cans in a car 3-4 blocks away from it. But come on, man.
Yeah,
I've got some in my car.
The idea
is it open?
The idea that it's a just as easily could have been a wiring problem, which makes sense. They've been doing construction on it for that many years. Some guy miswired some shit. Yeah. Can you imagine being the guy that has to own up to that? They're like, look, we still have the CCTV video footage. You were the guy who signed off on that.
Yeah, they came out today and said that they just did all the new wiring and new alarm system.
Fake news. It's fake news, goddammit. It's because they're against Trump.
New fire detection system and...
it's just a fucked situation. How you going, Anthony?
Yeah, how are you, mate?
You look good.
Yeah?
I feel well over-haired to be involved in this. My missus told me that my hair's thinning on top. I was like, but she knows she doesn't want to push that issue.
I got the silver coming through here.
The high widow peaks there. Well, my missus, she knows not to really talk too much about my hair because I told her. She goes, oh, I think it's getting thin on top. I was like, oh, really? And she was like, nah. Because I told her, as soon as I start to bald, I'm shaving my head. And I used to have my head shaved for about, a year when we were about 25 or something. And she's like, you can never do that again. Because I look like I belong in jail. I'm a couple neck tattoos away from being definitely looking like a criminal.
A couple of teardrops.
But I got a really lumpy head.
Yeah.
It might be because I was a forceps birth when I was born, so my head was all in this shape, and my father just kind of took
the leg up on the vagina and
pretty much
pulling.
And then my father took my head and kind of mashed it back into a ball, and apparently it doesn't look right. Yeah, so not a good look for television and stuff like that.
A beautiful
you do
cesarean. Yeah, they cut me out because I was 2.5 times blue, and I didn't want to come out.
That's fair enough.
I think there's the possibility that I also killed my twin about 4 months in.
Oh, really?
My mum had a situation, and the doctors actually wanted to curette. A curette is where they get in there and actually scrape out the uterus. And Mum said, no, you're not fucking doing that to me. There's still one in there.
Yeah.
And thanks for not aborting me, Mum.
Yeah. That was very sweet
I
of
said
her.
that to her every birthday and every Mother's Day.
The gift that keeps giving.
Yeah. There's this awesome man with his ugly child, and it's thanks for not aborting me. she gets that picture every year.
Oh, my God, that's funny. That's a topic that I'm not touching.
Sorry if I managed to kill someone, maybe I'm already going to hell.
Yeah, that's right. You're a murderer.
Straight up.
But there's no proof. So you got away with it.
Well, technically I wasn't a person.
Yeah. Let's move on.
I'm certainly not legally bound by my actions.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So we talked about sea containers. What were we talking about before sea containers?
I think we went...
I said Jesus somewhere in there.
That microphone's all working and everything if you want to...
If you want to say anything, you're welcome to. Thanks for inviting me to this.
Oh, pleasure.
This is the best thing that's happened all day so far. Had to have.
Didn't you have another interview?
Yeah, I did.
Was that a job interview?
No.
No.
Nope. I'm on the dole.
Ah.
That's how I know I'm Australian now. They're giving me the dole.
So you're full,
not really.
Full citizen?
Yeah. I've been a citizen since the 19th of June, 2007. Fucking let anybody in here.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's so funny because... So I'm a white immigrant, so I can't say stuff because I'm white before I'm an immigrant. But I will say this.
Hang on, what?
I am white before I'm an immigrant. So if I start saying, don't let those fucking boat people in there, like you're a racist. So I can't say that, right? But I will say this, and I am dead serious about this. They shouldn't let any more of these fucking Americans in here. I am dead serious. I found this place. I love this place. If they come here, they'll fuck it up. Because that's what we do. We go to places where, like, let's get involved in the government. And then it fucking goes downhill. Don't let any more Yanks in. You can let them into Melbourne and Sydney. Fuck them off. But don't let them into Western Australia.
Well, the opposition leader of Western Australia is actually
Mike Nayor? Yeah. Yeah, but does he still get to? Isn't he like a dual citizen? So he's fucked. They're like, he can't run for prime minister or something like that.
Yeah, that's only federal parliament.
Okay.
One of my mates was trying to run this, so nominations came up last week for the federal election.
Yeah.
And I've been telling him for like 6 months, you have to renege on your Scottish citizenship if you want to actually run. He's like, no, it'll be fine. And then last week he's got. Yeah, I can't run. I'm like, I fucking told you, man.
Yeah, but having dual citizenship is really good. Like, so I'm trying to get into... This isn't exactly what I mean. I'm trying to get into trolling. Online trolling. You know, like...
You can just do it. How do you get into it?
Well, what I mean is you got to get good at it. Like, you can just troll and people are like, oh, that's just an asshole. But then there's people like Milo Yiannopoulos, right? Alex Jones. Do they believe half the shit they're saying? Probably not. But they know that it pays the bills, right? Now, I'd like to do it in a way that I'm saying things I believe, but it's really such an art form.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Like, you can't be stupid in order to be that good of a troll.
The first, like, you can't call people names. That's one of the things.
What if you are a troll?
If you're a troll.
So
if you start calling people names, you've already lost the
Yeah, you got to remain calm and stoic, don't you? Like Ben Shapiro, I mean, he's not trying to be a troll, I don't think. He just
has weird beliefs.
He just has weird beliefs, and they're very well researched. And they're very well. He's got a very strong, well-formed, considered philosophy, whether or not you agree with it. And it just infuriates people, and I just love it. Anything that pisses off the extreme left, I love. And anything that pisses off the extreme right, I love.
I'm a centralist. Choose from both sides. If it's a rational thing, I'm a big fan of logic. Like,
no, don't say it. The L word.
Yeah. If you could logically go through an argument and then come to a logical outcome,
I shouldn't say
usually,
this.
That's usually what I'll think.
Yeah, I shouldn't say this because it's hard to word properly. There was a female sports commentator in America, and she was getting all these death threats and people saying horrible things to her online. This is about probably 3 years ago, and a guy had posted this thing on his Facebook page with the video, and what they've said, there's 2,000 comments. They picked these 20 horrible comments. Right? Now I said, for all we know, the other 1,980 are not that bad. Like
these YouTube comments, because they're the worst.
Yeah, I think it was, right? And people are saying, oh, I hope you die and all this stuff. And so the guy has said, look, I've got 3 daughters. Is this what my daughters have to face? I was like, that's a fair comment. Now, a woman also posted the same video with similar comments, like, this is, a tragedy. So I've commented the same comment on each one. which was, I can't remember, but it was something logical like, look, we don't know it all, we don't know all of the facts, and obviously it's horrible, but what I'm suggesting is it's 1% or 1/10 of 1% of people making these comments, so I don't think you have to worry about all men raping everybody. I think, there's these people are horrible people, but it might not be everyone. Right now, on the female thread, it was just females going, you're a fucking fuckwit. Right? It was just nothing but attacks. They were hating me. In the one that was primarily men, it was this very logical. Now, I know that doesn't always apply. I'm making a very big generalization here. But in that specific experience that I had, the one that was with all the men, they were like, yeah, but did you think of this? And, I didn't think about that. And I was like, maybe this. And they were like, maybe that.
They're actually trying to change people's minds.
Yeah, by the end of it, we came to some logical conclusions. I was like, Facebook is awesome. Then I finished the other one. I was like, I hate Facebook.
Was it not Chris Rock? A comedian said, men will always be at a disadvantage in an argument.
Maybe it was Bill Burr.
Because men need things to make sense.
Yeah.
There's a black comedian.
Oh, okay. That's not Bill Burr. He's extremely white.
Sometimes. I think he's probably white.
I don't know who that was.
Very white. Very white.
Yeah, look, I heard another a coach of who's some Australian coach. Let me be very vague on this. And he said that he's coached men's team and women's teams. And his statement was something to the effect of, in order to win, the female teams he coached needed to feel like they were happy. They were part of something. They were happy, then they could win. If they were happy, they could play well. If they were centered, they could play well. And men would only be happy if they win.
Yeah.
we're just not all of us, but a lot of men are just alpha male, brutal, just gotta win. Don't care about anything else. I'll feel good about myself.
Women would rather be part of a family and have that whole family win, maybe.
Maybe. I don't, and I can't speak for everybody in the modern day, but you do see that apply often. What else were we talking about that I thought was worth talking about?
We did touch on the American need of conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. Look, here's my only take on conspiracy theory stuff. And that is 9/11, right? If the U.S. government did it, would they ever tell you? Absolutely not, right? Do you ever believe and do you trust the American government on anything they tell you?
No.
No. So if they're telling you they didn't do it, they probably did it. Or the whole thing is you can't tell what is real news and what's fake news. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's all controlled by the fact that, and if I was running a news outlet, I would do the exact same thing. Yeah. And that is, we need to make money. We got stockholders. We're not going to go under. Print the shit that's entertaining. That's it. It's not but we're not printing the truth. You'd be like, I don't care. If people want the truth, they can figure it out themselves.
There used to be a law of balanced journalism. And Rupert Murdoch.
The law of the dollar now.
Rupert Murdoch was the guy that fought to get that law changed. And as soon as America changed the law, Australia changed that law too.
Really? Well.
So right now you've got 50, 60-year-old people who grew up with that law, who still trust the fucking news.
Yeah. Obviously that's a bad idea.
You know where the fridge is?
Yeah, it's here.
That's his nickname.
I was going to just say...
Chila?
That makes sense. I told him, wait, now who's your business partner for your production company? Is that it?
Just me, because I was with Sean. But
see, now then? How long ago did that happen? Just recently?
Well, that's still...
I didn't even know about it.
Oh, perfect. Now you can do what I said. You got to change the name or make the name of your company... Chila Productions. Hell yeah.
That's what Demetrius calls me when I ring him up. He goes, Chila the Killer Gorilla.
There you go. It's catchy.
You did go to Chila, did you?
What?
Chila Primary?
No. I went to Handicap Primary and Wacom Valley. You want one?
Sure. Why not?
Get me one for the... I grew up in Kublai, so I know how to drink warm beer.
That's brilliant.
Did you go to Gorilla?
No, I went to Kublai Primary. Both of those primary schools aren't around anymore.
They demolished them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The house I lived in when I was in Davenport, Iowa, last time I was back, was turned into a parking lot. Which is probably good. It was a wreck. There was rats in the basement and stuff. The room was like, the main room was as big as this. You know, you're talking, the entire apartment was 40 square meters. And I paid, now this was 20 years ago, I paid $200 a month.
Wow. $50 a week.
$50 a week. But it was...
$80 a week is the least I've ever paid for a whole unit.
Yeah, right.
It was tragic, though. It was tragic. This place was horrific. I had some good times there, though. Good times.
When Demetrius went back to work in the US a couple of years ago, he was in a basement in New York where he's from.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how is it? He goes, there's a boiler, it leaks. He said, but I'm just here for the work.
I tell you what, I don't know if I can go back to America now. I'll go back 5, 6, 7 years from now. I'll go back for a couple of years just to remind myself how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally, like, that's what we were talking about before. Like, people see me, right, and they assume straight away that because and this doesn't bother me, because I look the way I look, that I love Jesus, and I love guns, and I'm against abortion, and all that kind of stuff. But you were talking about being center? Dude, on some things...
Yeah.
On some things, I'm way right. On some things, I'm way left. Like, this is crazy by American standards. Here, people are like, what's the issue? And that is, I think what they should do in America is have gun laws that are enforced. What? He's talking crazy. This boy doesn't like the Second Amendment. All I think is, see, in America, you can keep your gun, you can keep your Glock under your pillow.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need to put it in a safe.
Can't do that here.
No, you gotta you have it in a safe. And I'm pretty sure if you're mentally insane, they don't give you a gun here, do they?
I know some mentally insane people who have gun licenses.
But they try to keep them out of the hands of...
I think if you've actually been arrested, for being crazy, I think there's a thing. But you can have you can go to a doctor many times as you like and still get a gun license.
No, really. See, in America, you can just buy them at your local flea market and stuff like that. You know the story,
Walmart.
I'm sure. Yeah, but the one thing that's really interesting, which people always talk about, and I don't know if this applies directly to guns, but I'll just go into this anyway. I can't remember the exact statistics, but Americans, I think, on average, take something like 6 pills per person per day, every day of the year, 365 days a year. Right? Like, you're talking about 6 different prescription medications every day.
Well, I know people that do that.
Yeah, but that's not the standard here.
No, not standard.
No.
Depending on their problems.
No, it's a lot less. I'm talking for every man, woman, and child, the average is 6 pills per day.
Oh, okay.
Right, so that means...
I'm just thinking of the extreme, actually, it's about 6 a day.
They put 4-year-old children on Adderall and stuff there. And they're like, there's no other way to deal with it. And it's not just like, a kid here and a kid there. Like, it's apparently fairly common. You'd have to look up the statistics on the CDC website and stuff like this. But it's obviously more than any other country in the world. And so a lot of these things, you start to wonder, how much do these chemicals influence people's ability to think straight? And it's not just that. I mean, you've got prescription medications, but people also, the food that they eat, it's not like people are eating well in America. You don't get to 600 pounds eating well.
Deep fried carbohydrates.
Yeah, deep fried carbohydrates. So all these things imbalance your body, and if you affect your body chemistry, you affect your brain chemistry. So if your brain chemistry is not that of a balanced body, then you're not going to act human. Are you human? Well, you're human physiologically, but not if you're not chemically, then you're not neurologically. I don't know where the hell I'm going with all that, but basically America's fucked up. So then you're going to put guns in those people's hands. Yeah, just everybody have a gun. Everybody have 5. Don't need a license.
There's a lot of people that have come back from war and PTSDs and and they all love guns.
My brother-in-law, he was in the military. He both of my brother-in-laws, actually. No, I knew one. But they were both in the military. And I don't know that they were completely...
Sane and centered.
I'm not going to use those words. But after they came back from war, dude, it messed them up bad. As it would. It fucked them up.
Yeah.
So my one brother-in-law carries a Glock with him everywhere. Like I'm like, fucking, I don't want to be near him. Just because, when does he snap? He hasn't snapped yet, though. So maybe he won't snap. Fuck, I don't know. That's a tough one. But so I would.
So that's in Illinois.
No, that actually they have moved down to Alabama. And then my other sister-in-law was talking to that sister-in-law and talking to the nephews that are living in Alabama. She gets off the phone and she goes, "They already sound stupider.
Yeah.
They've only been there for 6 months." Because you know what, like, there is something to be said for your accent does. It's interesting. Like you'll meet Indian people, and you know,
like American Indian people.
No, like and you go, they can't speak the language. They probably aren't that smart. Yeah, they're all engineers, mate.
Yeah.
And so in America, you'll have people in Alabama who are brilliant. They're rocket scientists. But if you talk like that, it don't matter how smart you is. You still sound like you probably retarded.
Sweet southern accent.
Yeah.
Catfish Cooley.
Yeah, Catfish Cooley. How about you? He is very good. He is very good. One of my mates who's Australian is living in Alabama, and he reckons it is insane. He's loving it. I don't even know his stories, but he reckons it is everything you see in the movies that you go, that shit's not possible. And it's possible.
Yeah.
That's another one I'll say. You see American movies, you see these university movies about like old school and road trip, and people go, obviously, like, it's just a movie. That is the one genre of American movies that is accurate.
Because they got the
Animal House is probably based on a true story.
Because they've got all the houses, like they've got whole suburbs which are university suburbs, and people don't usually like leave those suburbs.
No, and it's just insane. It's just alcohol-fueled fun. I didn't learn anything in the first 2 years of uni. It was awesome. Do you guys know the movie Van Wilder?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? You know that's based on a true story? It's based on the life. It's based on the life of Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
So the comedian,
Really?
yeah, and he reckons I don't know the whole story, but he reckons they like kind of stole it from him. They were gonna make a movie, didn't make a movie, and then they stole it from him and made that movie.
The Machine.
The Machine. That guy, that's something else. That's the epitome of what you want to be as a comedian. Just freaking hilarious. That guy. He's a greatest storyteller ever. Love it.
He's coming to Perth.
Yeah, he was here last year, and we had free tickets to go see him through Flying Camel Comedy, the Jiggy runs, and Jiggy was like, "Look, you and I both have a ticket," and I was like, "I can't go because I have my 300th gig that night, and I'm running the show." And he was like, "Suit yourself, but find somebody else to do it." I was like, "Nah, I gotta do it." So I did it, and then everybody that came back from it that I knew that was that are comedians, they all said the same. All of them said the same thing. My jaw hurt from laughing so much.
Yeah.
Shit.
You get those cramps just here. It's like, no, shut up.
Yeah. I'm quite
So 300th gig?
300. So I'm at like 375 now or something like that.
This is comedy gigs.
Comedy gigs, but
Stand up.
stand-up comedy. Yeah. So it's interesting though. From the get-go. I don't know if I ever told you this. I never wanted to be a comedian. I still don't want to be a comedian. I'm just that good. When you're that talented, Scott, you just got to go with it. No, actually, I'm not that talented. But I am not going to continue to do it hardcore. Like, you know, hardcore hardcore in porn, primarily gay porn. That's my specialty. As a comedian, you want to do, like Americans do, like these 14 times a week. You know, they'll gig twice. Dude, I don't know. There must be something to that, but it seems insane because when do you have time to rewrite your material and reanalyze your jokes and think about stuff? I don't know. But here in Perth, if you're going well, you can get 3 gigs a week.
So Flying Camel, Bassendean.
Yeah. Oh, there's other ones that are all over the place. There's a bunch of them. I'm not going to mention them.
One down in Freo.
Fuck them. No, I'm just kidding. Look, you know what? Anytime you can get out and see open mic, stand-up comedy. You're paying $5, and it's worth it. And most of what you're going to see, oh, look, probably a third of what you're going to see is total trash. You're like, dude, this person should not be on stage. But then after they've been doing it a year, a year and a half, and they've done 100 gigs, you see them a year later, you go, okay, they're not that bad.
They found their little niche.
Yeah, and there's a couple of guys. There's some
Well,
guys
that's the theory about like Joe Rogan going out 10 times a week and just working on his stuff.
You can only get better. Yeah. Some people get better more quickly than others based on the effort they're putting in, but also based on if you've got somebody that has facial tics, and has a stutter, for them to get good and get feedback on their jokes from the audience that's accurate so they can tell what jokes are working, it's going to take them longer than somebody who speaks without a stutter.
Have you seen that guy on America's Got Talent, the one with the stutter?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
The thing that I've been very blessed with, that's what we Americans say, very blessed with. No, I've been fortunate that here in Australia, as soon as I get on stage, I rarely get a heckler, and people get quiet and they listen. And it's only based on one thing. Got this American accent. They go, oh, he's going to be funny because he's American. And sometimes I am.
I think you're an import.
Yeah. And a lot of times I get announced, they're like, all the way from America. And I always like, because you don't want to set their expectations really high when you're doing new material and it's going to be shit. I go, first of all, I am from America, but I've only ever done comedy here, but I appreciate that. Yeah, sometimes I'll go with it, though. If it's like a paid show, you're like, absolutely.
Fire it up
you're
a
from
bit.
America. I don't know where we were going with any of that. I can't handle my alcohol. You see that? I've now,
Just one
you might as well
beer in.
put a nipple on it. Dude,
It's the second beer.
the thing is, I had genetic testing done, and the genetic test, like, because my missus has cancers in her family. She wanted to make sure she doesn't have any cancers going on, no possibilities of that stuff. So she has this genetic testing done. She goes, oh, we're also going to have you tested. So I have this testing done. Everything comes back completely clear except one thing. The gene that makes the enzyme for digesting alcohol, mine's turned down like 80%. So I weigh like 93.5
wish. I wish that was a
Dude,
thing for me.
I am the cheapest date ever.
Oh,
like
so
3
expensive.
beers, and I'd let it.
I'm so expensive.
Yeah, it's problematic.
So twice a year,
Oh yeah, come
my
Oh.
my business where I work at the Raffles Hotel.
Brilliant. Now that I know that.
I'm the handyman there, so I can't serve you,
Yeah,
so that's
fuck.
fine. Yeah. They do Good Friday and Christmas Day. They close down and they run a party.
Oh, brilliant.
So on Friday, I walked behind the bar, just pour like triple vodkas
Yeah.
and like that much Coke, and just walk out of the bar. I don't know how many of them I had in the 4 hours of free drinking I had.
4 hours of free drinking.
You end
That's
up
brilliant.
rolling into an Uber or
Yeah. I said to someone, I have to go now. And I could just read the Uber and went and stood outside, staggering around till. It's Good Friday.
That is brilliant.
the worst one I had was in Thailand, probably
Where's this going?
Yeah, I know, right?
4 years ago. I took my daughter for a 16th,
Yeah.
and
Kid is that old?
she'll be 21 in May. Yeah.
Jesus. How old are you? 100?
41.
Early breeder.
Yeah.
Doesn't pull out.
Yeah.
And so I'm on Bangor Road. 2 nights this happened. We started drinking with my
Wait a
uncles.
second. Aren't you like Italian?
Yeah.
Which
And
means
my-
you're
and my mum's
Catholic.
Scottish.
You're Catholic.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to pull out. Or you're always supposed to pull out.
Oh well, shit happens.
It was the Scottish side that was still in
that's
there.
Right, yeah.
You're a good Catholic, though, aren't you?
Oh,
Obviously,
all
it's a
the
very
time.
good, very good.
Kind of
Catholic.
good.
And so we started drinking at 10 in the morning with my uncle and that at those round bars, playing the games with the girls and stuff. And by lunchtime,
Ping pong.
they're like, no, there's one where they put nails into a bit of wood and you got to try and hit it. And if you don't, then you got to buy everyone around. So by lunchtime, we're like, no, that's missed.
Oh,
Anyway,
shit.
so I went to Bangor Road around. They went home at midnight. I got there around 12:30 because a friend of mine was singing in one of the bars. So I went to the Aussie bar, had something to eat, a few drinks, and I met up with this girl from that bar at 3 in the morning. And anyway, 6 o'clock comes, and I'm like, oh, where am I going to go? And I was so drunk that my legs hit a tuk-tuk and I fell in the tuk-tuk. And I just said, but Tom Merlin took me there. Right, and I got there, and the two security guards grabbed me under each arm and go, "Come on, Mr. Anthony, to your room." I couldn't walk. They carried me to my room.
So the tuk-tuk just scooped you up.
Yeah, I basically fell in there, and he goes, "Where you want to go?" I said, "Baton Merlin," and I was just lying on the floor in the tuk-tuk, and he's going, "Shh!" I was through all the skirts. Happened twice.
People always reckon Bali is dirty and gross and blah. I stayed in Kuta.
I like Bali.
I was only there for 3 days. It was the best experience of my life, but that's because I was with my footy team.
Yeah.
14 guys in Bali. Australian rules footy.
Aussie rules.
Yeah, love it.
Good on you.
Love it, yeah. Good on you. Loved it. Best sport I've ever played. But then I got too old for it.
Things can come in from all angles. You're going to be really...
Dude, it's insane. You know, like I had played, 7 years of gridiron? And then I played, I think, 7 seasons of rugby union in America. Mostly in America.
Shit.
And then I was never big enough for it, though. That was a problem. You got to be 6'5" to really compete. So I'm only 6'1", and it's not like I'm solid muscle of 115 kilos. So, you know, when you're outweighed by 20 kilos, you're screwed. So, but then I played 8 seasons of Aussie rules. Now I had never had a broken bone in my life. Fuck. Broke ribs again, tore my Achilles, just constant hamstring and calf injuries. Calf injuries are old man injury.
Yeah.
And then when my Achilles finally tore, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Done. 8 seasons. In 8 seasons, there was a possible 150 games I could have played. I played 74. I was hurt every other week. We were hurt for like a 6-week stint. Then I'd come back and they'd be like, oh, he's back. I played fullback. And you know, being Americans, we just attack everything. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. All I knew is when you go to punch the ball and you're the fullback, you just come through their head as you punch it.
If the ball has 2 ears, you hit it harder.
Yeah, that was pretty much what I learned. Yeah. This guy Daza, I didn't know what I'm doing. About 2 seasons in still, you know. And this guy Daza, who would play in the front pocket, he's teaching me how to play fullback. He's like, here's all you got to do. And he just told me that it doesn't matter where the ball is on the oval. You got to keep pushing them out of the center. So I was an annoying prick. Just kept pushing them out of the center. Just kept pushing them out of the center. And he goes, the other thing you have to do constantly is just keep talking.
Yeah.
So I was an annoying prick, just pushing and pushing, and just kept talking.
Grab hold of the jumper.
Yeah. And what I figured out was that if you talk nonstop for the first 20 minutes, then all you have to do is take one mark, just one mark over the top of them, and they're done. They're just like, I can't be fucked with this prick. That was so you just break them emotionally.
Talk about breaking
terrible,
emotionally.
horrible
what
person.
Team do you follow?
If I was going to follow anybody, it would be the Dockers. I say with shame in my voice.
Emotionally.
Yeah, I know.
It was a good win on the weekend, man.
We're both Dockers fans.
Here's the crazy thing, and that is because I love footy. Best game I've ever played. I think it's because of 2 factors. I wasn't raised here, so I didn't move here till I was 30, which means I think you really gain your love of your local sports team or a sports team when you're growing up. So I didn't have that. The other thing is I don't have a television.
Neither do I.
How the hell do you watch the games? Just online?
Yeah, online.
Yeah.
I've got a VIP box.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I just can't be fucked. I'm like half Jew, so I'm not spending money on stuff. Oh, is it free? Ah! That's kind of good. Don't tell me this. Then I'll start. Dude, I used to be
all the free shit. Formula One.
Brilliant.
AFL.
I used to be addicted. Is this thing right? I used to be addicted to television, sport. Oh my!
Same.
So once our television broke and we didn't get a new one, it took me a while to wean myself.
So one night I was drunk. I was lying on my bed, and Trump said he was going to release the 9/11 tapes or whatever. He was going to expose 9/11, and I woke up with two imprints on my TV and it was all cracked.
Oh.
I got so angry. That was 2.5 years ago now. Haven't had one.
Why were you angry? You didn't want to see the 9/11 tapes?
No, because I knew Trump was fucking lying.
Dude, he is so good. I'll just leave it there. Here's what I like about Trump. Here's what I love about Trump. And that is, you can't like him for the way he conducts himself. Like, he's not presidential, probably, right? And
he's a CEO.
And you can't be like he's a good person. But I keep saying, if you're looking to your politicians for your moral compass, how broken are you? right?
Absolutely.
But what I will say about him is, dude, he's such a bully. And his ability to bully other bullies, oh, it's incredible to watch.
His brinksmanship is incredible.
His what?
Brinksmanship, bringing stuff to the brink.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like, and that's massive for being a CEO.
He just, like, he'll walk away from the negotiating table. You know what I mean?
That's brinksmanship.
Yeah,
That is
okay.
brinksmanship,
Yeah, that's with Kim Jong-un. He went, okay, see you later.
See you
I'm
later.
going home. And people were like, oh, my God, that's going to cause World War III. Yeah, maybe. Only one way to find out.
He's only got 3 or 4 nuclear weapons, I reckon. Maybe 7.
And look, and he probably, and Trump probably reckons that Kim Jong-un doesn't want to destroy his people any more than,
No.
Trump wants to destroy America.
No. And realistically, he's not really going to get to attack Japan. It's only going to be pretty much just Seoul and maybe just a little bit south of Seoul.
Yeah. So Seoul's kind of that. They're in a bad place.
The center of Seoul is 40 kilometers from the border.
Yeah, they said if they launched the nuclear weapons from North Korea to Seoul, best case scenario would be a loss of like 300,000 people. Worst case scenario would be like 3.5 million people.
So there's mountains surrounding Seoul on the northern side of the border.
Okay.
And there's something like 1,500 artillery guns just facing Seoul at anyone like all the time.
Really?
So most
That's a rough spot to be in.
yeah.
Australia's good. Don't even need to build a border wall here in Australia. If you can cross 3,000 miles of ocean.
With refugees, like if they're honest to God refugees and they're escaping wartime, and you make it to Australia, I think that you should have a better chance of staying here than an economic immigrant that has come here under a doctorate.
There's something to be said for if you got enough balls to get on a little rickety old blue wooden boat
and
and
just
make it
go
all
across
the way
horizon.
here. Yeah, just start sailing.
Yeah.
Fuck, like how you come here, you're gonna run a good small business. You got balls.
Yeah.
You know how to work hard. You know how to take risks.
They run twice as many businesses as people that are born here.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I always say I was talking to the guy at the petrol station. I always tell immigrants the same story, and that is, I'm Australian. Get the fuck out. No, I'm kidding. I don't say that.
From an immigrant.
I always say that your first year, because I was talking to the guy at the petrol station, and I go, how's it going? And he was like, oh, it's not going well. And I went, look, how long have you been here? And he's like, 8 months. I go, your first year is torture. For everybody, this was the same for us. You come here, you don't know if you're going to survive. You're only making enough money to make ends meet. Right? Then what happens during year 2 and 3 is like you're making enough money, it's kind of going well, and by the end of 3 years, you're like, oh my God, I'm stable. Right? And then years 3 to 6, you're kind of always like, oh, things could fall apart at any point, but you're really stable. You're like getting a house and stuff like this. And so years 4, 5, and 6, you finally go, by the end of that, you're like, man, I'm here to stay. They can't get rid of me. I found my spot. And then you become truly Australian when you get to about year 12, because that's when somebody offers you $100,000 for sweeping floors, and you're like, mate, fucking, I won't take less than 120, mate. That's when you're Australian. Though those times are kind of gone now.
If only those jobs could still be around
Yeah,
now.
I know. That was the mining 10 years ago, wasn't it?
The
The good
I was
old
a
days.
crane driver. We were getting paid. We were only getting paid $80 an hour.
Only.
Yeah.
That's good.
With the highest paid crane drivers in Australia, working for FMG at the time. We were watching the newspaper, and the iron ore price went under $90.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to my mate, they're going to knock us off. He's like, they're not going to knock us off. And they knocked us off that afternoon.
Fuck. Jeez.
Just basically all the workers, see you later.
Hopefully your house was all paid off by then.
House.
Yeah, fuck. When we first came to Australia, we came in 2001. Interestingly enough, I always find this so interesting. When I got here, I didn't know, my ass from my elbow. And we were trying to get temporary residency, and we couldn't get it. But we were here for 6 months trying, because we've been just traveling around the world, ended up in Frio and went, oh my God, this is the greatest place on earth. We don't want to leave. Yeah, fucking love it. And people go, oh, yeah, Freo used to be good 20 years ago. It's still pretty fucking good. Anyway, now it's just filled with fucking hippies.
We had a lot of fun
Fucking
15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I bet. So, I was here from, March of 2001 until September of 2001. And in about May of 2001, this big thing happened. This guy died, and the whole country was in mourning. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I think he was important. And it was Don Bradman.
Oh, the Don.
Yeah.
World's greatest cricketer.
Yeah, huge. And then, I came back a few years later, and I had been here. Now I understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
But-
cricket's like
yeah, of course.
baseball, obviously.
Yeah, no. You know what? The 2020s are watchable. And
Yes, they are.
They last the same
Yeah.
amount of time as an American baseball game, and yet they're not as boring as an American baseball game. American baseball's fucking batshit boring.
I'd rather
Yeah, if you
watch
don't have
baseball
alcohol.
than cricket. Any day.
Really?
Hands down. I fall asleep. Cricket.
I'd
and
rather
soc-
cut
Cricket and
myself.
soccer. I would rather watch grass grow. I just
Really?
can't stand them.
Yeah, you know what? The soccer is hard to.
I'm a big cricket fan.
Yeah, the short ones I can. The short ones I can watch.
I agree.
The
2020, but I went to a test match and I fell asleep after the first innings.
Well, that's the good thing about test matches. Test matches is a great excuse to
go
lie on the
drink piss.
couch for 5
this was
fucking
at the
days.
game.
You don't go to a test match. Why the fuck would you do that?
So I was given free tickets in the corporate box and I fell asleep in the corporate box.
I will say, American baseball with as much
Free
as.
drinks?
Free drinks when I fell asleep. Was that
Why
boring?
do you seem so angry about it? Are you still scarred from that
I think
experience?
he is.
No, I just can't understand
Did
why people go
someone-
and watch that shit for
Did
5
someone
days.
touch you while you were
Well,
asleep?
maybe. Yeah. I felt fingers and I'm like, oh.
As much as I hate American baseball, to go to the games, that is a great experience. Just eating nachos and hot dogs and drinking beers
I went to
in the
one
hot
when- I
sun.
went to one when I could tiki. We were in LA and we went, I think, the Anaheim Angels.
Yeah, did you love it?
Yeah, we got as part of the Kentucky thing. It was awesome. Just sitting
Yeah.
there.
That's a
So
good
it's about
experience.
4 hours?
They shouldn't last that long.
No.
They should be 2.5, I think. Yeah.
But there's lots of changeovers, isn't there? There's lots of people running out into the field and then running
No,
back.
that's more gridiron. I mean, there is that between innings, but that doesn't take that long. But every time they go to in between innings, there's a commercial break, right?
Yeah.
And then probably, and I don't know this if this is happening with American baseball, but it's definitely happened with gridiron, more and more commercial breaks. So now a game that used to take 2 hours and 15 minutes is 3 hours and 15 minutes. This is the same thing, though, I think is going on with footy, right? Now,
Aussie rules.
Now, yeah, in Australia, Aussie rules, you touch somebody you touch them on the back. Sorry, you touch them on the back. Oh, it's 50 meters. But there's a reason for that, and that is more commercial breaks means more money. More advertising means more money.
So there was a certain amount of rules that we grew up with. Push in the back was instant free kick.
Yeah, but now it's touch them on the back. You breathed on
It
them.
doesn't matter. You're not allowed to push them in the back at all.
You can use a forearm. You can't use an open hand.
But now, even if your body lands on their back and they go forward, that's I think that's a bit harsh.
That's why they try to roll them in the tackle so they don't land flat on their back like
Yeah.
a $2 hooker.
Brilliant. I didn't notice that.
And there used to be a shepherd law. It's 15 metres when we were kids.
What
10
for
metres?
a kick?
So if the ball is
Yeah,
here,
of course.
anywhere within this region, you could bump people.
Yeah, but now it's 5 meters or something, or
I think it's either 5 or 10. It's gone down a bit.
I think even part of the rule is if you bump someone and it's not even contingent to defending, it's an illegal bump.
God, there's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing better than a big shepherd
Bring
on the
back
boundary.
shirt front. Fuck yeah.
When you get a
having-
big shepherd on the boundary and the guy's just not looking, he's looking at the ball, he's running, pow!
Or even if they're looking at you, that's
great.
even better because you know it's going to be harder.
But fuck, when you get shepherded on, it just hurts so bad. When you look at the last second, you're like, oh fuck.
So the lower that you can get, the better you can actually. Like the lower, so someone's coming in here, and someone's coming in here. The lower person will have the better.
Yeah, you'll upend them a bit.
But then you have the problem of if you're too low and you take their legs out, it's a free kick. Or if you go in too low and someone's standing up and gets you, it's a free kick.
then it's free kick.
But then there's also ducking. You won't get a free kick if they look like you're ducking for the ball.
Yeah.
So it's,
It's got to be more and more confusing for the umpires.
It got steadily more confusing as we grew older.
Yeah. Now
I
you're just.
was the captain of my school football team.
I played football for about 2 years and then swapped to basketball.
Switch the basket. You look like a basketball player. Hey, fuck you,
No, I
Jimmy.
played.
It's
No,
white.
No, I played.
I was thinking more of the fact that he's tall.
Not really.
No, you don't get to be tall. I was watching some
You're much
doc.
taller,
I
both
was
of
watching
us.
some docos on Spud Webb, who was the shortest American basketballer of all time before.
5'7".
Yeah, 5'7" before Muggsy Bogues. Now I think that Muggsy Bogues couldn't dunk though, but Muggsy Bogues played something like 15 years in the NBA. He's 5'3".
Mm-hmm.
That's like technically a midget, but he was dude. He looks so small.
It's like
Yeah,
there on me.
he's so fast, incredible passes, great shooter, which you would have to be obviously because you're not going to, block anybody's
Who was
shots.
the Black Diamond? He played for the West Coast.
That was Carl Bruton, Black
Cal
Pearl.
Cal
Black
Bruton, Black
How
Pearl.
tall was he?
Pearl. He would have been 5'7", something like that. But he was like he couldn't dunk it. Ricky Grace was 6'1", who played for a while. He could dunk it, but Carl Bruton was his son. CJ played for
We
New
just
Zealand
run
for a
around in
while.
between people's legs.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was amazing. Spud Webb actually won like the dunk
Yeah, the
contest,
dunk contest, 5'7", yeah.
early 90s
But that's
or
like
something.
Bryce Cotton, who plays for the Wildcats now. He's not even 6 foot, and he can dunk it. He dunks it in most Wildcats games.
Jeez.
He's like 5'8" or 5'9", and he just gets up there and just
Are you familiar with? Did you watch any Gridiron?
Yeah, I actually am a big
I
fan.
love gridiron.
I love Gridiron. It's a one thing that I will sit and watch. Like in America, you would watch your Thursday night game. If they had a Saturday game towards playoffs, but you'd watch the Sunday 2 games and then the Sunday night game. Then you watch the Monday game. It's too much, but I loved it.
I
Right?
won money on the last Super
But-
Bowl.
What's that? No, did ya? Good on you.
In China, we all put in $100, equivalent
Brilliant.
$100 Australian each.
Yep.
And then the way it works out, there's a chart. So if you get the last two, if the two numbers are the last two numbers of the score, you win. So
Yep.
one guy won the first quarter, and I won the last 3 quarters. So
Last 3 quarters.
I'll come out with like the equivalent of about $1,000 Australian because there was
Bloody
10 of
brilliant.
us.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's good.
But there's a guy named J.J. Watt, and he's a defensive end for the Texans. And I don't know a ton of his story. I don't know how he's going these days, but
The Texas lies at Dallas or
I don't even know where they play. They're the Texas Texans.
okay.
They probably they might be out of Houston. No, they're Houston, I think.
Yep.
Anyway, this guy, he's like 6'6" or something with a huge wingspan. They can't throw the ball over him. They can't throw down his alley because he just blocks stuff. And he also can jump. You can do a box jump that's some incredible amount. It's something like he can jump 5.5 feet or something like that. He can jump
Is that
65
is that where
inches.
you've got all those layers and you
Yeah,
static,
you just
static jump.
And just jumps up. And he could jump like he could jump to my shoulders. That's nuts. See, this,
I'm white.
yeah, but this is why I keep.
We can't jump.
No, he's a white guy.
Oh, is he?
That's what makes it truly amazing.
Ah.
That's why they gave him a contract. They gave him a contract for 6 years, and it's something like $116 million or $96 million for 6 years. $96 million because it works out to $16 million a year. And I think even if he got hurt and he couldn't play, his minimum payout is like $51 million.
Shit.
But then there was something he won something like MVP, defensive MVP, that he wanted really bad because if you win, you get a free truck. And somebody like his parents were like, "Do you need a free truck?" He's like, "That's not the point. I won. I want that truck."
I think there was something in AFL, and they get a watch, and then I think Mark of the Year you get a car or something like that as well. So
Yeah.
something similar.
What do you think of Mason? Old Mason Cox.
Yeah, well, he seems to be all right. I watch a lot of these Americans on YouTube that
There's an American guy that watches the Australian stuff.
First learning the rules, and there's one he watched Mason Cox from not the Grand Eagles, and
Is he a guy with a little beard like mine?
yeah, but he's in college or something, and he
Oh,
watches.
wow.
But there's ones where he does. A lot of them watch the rules, so explains the rules, like he bounces over 15 feet or however far
Could
it is.
we explain to me who Mason Cox is?
Mason Cox he's a forward for Collingwood. He's from America.
But he's American.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
big kicking
Big
guy.
7 foot dude.
Yeah, and he can kick straight.
Yeah.
And they would. I tell you what, and I blame him for Collingwood's loss
Yeah.
because he in the third and fourth quarter he had 4 easy marks. That
Yep.
if you're a professional footy player, you got
And
it
you're
every
7 foot
time.
tall.
They were easy. There was nobody defending him. Nobody got a punch in there. He had the ball and he just freaking rolled down his body.
Talking about the grand final.
Yeah, the grand final. They if he had made those 4 marks, they win.
Yeah, but that's like Aaron Sandlands from the Dockers. He's 7 foot as well. But what happens is when he marks it, a lot of the time his hands are like that. So his hands aren't cupped enough to
Yeah.
grip the ball. And but there was another one, a Canadian, played for Sydney.
Yes. But he was a black guy, wasn't he?
No, white guy. He was a ruckman as well. Can't remember his name. But he was all right. But if you notice now, Mason Cox has lost a lot of his accent. He's talking a bit more Australian.
Really, that's hilarious.
Than he used to before.
He's making Australian jokes and stuff. I know.
Yeah,
He got in trouble on Twitter or something. But he is going to be good. I mean, when I started playing, this is just from my personal experience, and I'm not as good of an athlete as him. The first 3 seasons, 1 out of 3 of my kicks went 45 degrees off to the side.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like I had never played soccer or any game where you got to kick the ball, or where I had to kick the ball. And it takes about 3 seasons to learn. I reckon give him another 3 seasons, and he'll really be a dominant player. And then they'll get a good 3 or 4 seasons out of him after that. But it's a hard game to suddenly learn. It takes just 3 years just to kind of figure out what the hell's going on.
Collingwood spectators actually sung the American national anthem before that.
Did they? That's
before the grand final.
Well, his parents were there, so.
Yeah. You know what's the thing is? Here's what's great about Australians. That's the nicest thing to do. That's what Australians do. Fucking welcome you to the country. In America, they'd be like, so there's some Australian. Fucking who cares?
Taking our jobs.
If you can't play, fuck off.
Well, that's
they wouldn't have that accent.
Andrew
though.
Bogut now's doing. He went back. He's starting for Golden State because the guy's injured, and I think he just scored like 13 points the other night or something. But
Brilliant.
He's signed to the Sydney Kings again for next season.
Yeah.
So he said regardless, he's coming back to play for them regardless if Golden State.
Oh, really?
No. He's just said that he's contracted to Sydney, likes playing for them, so he's hoping he can get him further. So regardless of whether Golden State want him, he's going to come back to play here. So.
Well, you know, like the thing is if he's made $30 million from basketball, I don't know how much
he's net worth $99 million.
Yeah, like after that, how much more do you need?
Kings.
Now you can play for fun.
Yeah, he's part owner of the Kings as well. So.
Is he really?
Yeah, Sydney Kings. Yeah. But
that's been good
when
to him.
Flyhoff did the same thing, don't?
Yeah, but none of them own the Wildcats anymore. There's just one owner, the American guy, Brant Bendan. He's like 90 years old or something.
Okay.
Yeah, someone Bendan, but his wife just died. But when I was playing, I played for the Spirit Hawks, and then when I got into the junior state team, the Coburn Cougars, we trained with Ricky Grace and Mike Ellis back then, all those guys. And there was James Crawford and Scott Fisher. But trying to catch Ricky Grace, he was so fast.
So you were actually pretty good then.
Well, I wasn't. I did all right.
Well, Coburn is representative.
And then I
Coburn represent.
And then I
Coburn. Yeah, sorry.
They had a 5-day training camp for the Wildcats development squad, which I went into, and 3 of us got picked to join the development squad for the Wildcats. So I'd signed after the 5th day, and then 2 days later injured my back, and that was it. All going down here.
There's a place in Spearwood called Coburn Chiropractic.
Yep.
So I had sent pictures of that back home. But I'm not even thinking about it. Just going, here's a local chiropractor, blah, blah, blah. Coburn Chiropractic. Everybody was like, what the fuck? Is this the kid?
Just use some fucking lube.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because it took me a while to get accustomed to that, but now I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's like in a loo. People are like, what have you
in a loo. The British would. Americans would be like, I don't understand. Is that a joke? I do not get it. We don't have loos. That's third world country stuff. We don't do third world
it's
America.
Like Fortnite. I was working with 2 guys in China, American guys in China, and they've never heard of a fortnight. They call it every 2 weeks.
Right. No, that's correct.
Yeah, you said a lot of people in America don't know
if you've read English literature, if you got stuck reading that shit, then you would know what a fortnight is. But most of us don't.
I said, no, it's every 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. So here's a random story that is applicable to nothing, but I always think this stuff is completely fascinating because it just said English. The guy who wrote the book Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
Yes, is one of them. C.S. Lewis. And when he was a new young writer, every month, or maybe every week, he would meet with these other writers at a local pub. And they had a little writing group called the Inklings. How cute, right? And so they would meet, and him and this other guy would argue. So this was early 1900s, I think, right? Early 1930s or something, maybe. And
it's an old book, I remember.
Him and this other guy would argue, and he would talk about these characters that if they are like half human or if they are strictly non-humans, he said that some of them will be good and some will be evil. And the humans, some will be good and some will be evil. And this other guy was adamant that the humans would always be good and these non-humans or half-breeds would always be evil. And they would have this argument back and forth. C.S. Lewis wrote his book, and the other guy was J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, yeah. Lord of the
How
Rings.
how interesting is that? I always find it that
The opposition of these ideas has created.
and also when these people who are
Perfect
multimillionaires,
is boring.
what's that?
Perfect is boring.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
no, perfection doesn't create anything. It's only the opposition of
People will
stuff
say,
that creates stuff.
what people's flaws is what makes them, fun or whatever.
All the freaky people make the beauty of the world.
Yeah, that's it. Is that a song from somewhere?
10,000 Techniques or
Is that a band? 10,000
some
Techniques.
Australian band, actually. Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
I am
All the freaky people make
uncultured.
the beauty of the.
I know Eskimo Joe.
Am I?
Eskimo Joe, yeah.
I'll think of it. Sidebar. Inaloo is the local Aboriginal word meaning woman.
Well, there you go.
We're going to get a woman and watch a movie.
Yeah. What about the word Davalac? So Cobra and Cobras play a Davalac oval,
Davlac.
but apparently that was a mispronunciation of something. By the Aboriginals thought it meant like devil something or
Davalac, I'm not sure.
like the devil lake or something.
I used to play at Davlac Oval quite a bit.
Well, most of the words you see now that end in up
Mhm.
is related to water. So like
Yeah.
Yeah. And something else means place of. What is it?
yes,
Cool is water.
yeah.
And,
Up means
hang
place
on.
of.
Up's water.
Up is water, and
Yeah.
cool is meeting place.
Okay.
So Coolblup
What's the bell
means bell means between.
for? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So meeting place between two
Water,
waters,
yeah, right.
which is like the northern side of Bibra Lake.
Because then you got
Uh-huh.
like Mandoggle up and Cooling
Just-
up and all that.
Uh-huh.
Just where they were going to run
Right,
row 8 through.
which they should still do.
I do think that they
That would
should.
I'm
have,
for
that
row
would have
eight.
avoided that fatal
I'm
truck
for
accident
Rowan.
the other day.
Here's my feelings on nature. If nature can't adapt and evolve to keep up with the rest of us, fuck nature.
I used to drive past the protesters and go, row 8 is great.
Look, my mum bought here in the 70s, and we all thought that row 8 was going to go through. And the successive governments just put it off.
If you're living in a city and you don't want roads, the fuck are you on about?
Well, it will join the port. From here, I would have had a freeway to work and a freeway to the beach.
It'll reduce emissions from
Yep.
trucks. I don't know. I'm just making. I mean, that is true, but
So the area that they cleared for row 8, they now have to clear more than 10 times the amount for all the surrounding.
oh Jesus.
So the ecological warriors actually have created more devastation.
I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. Fuck the hippies. No, honestly, I'm pretty hippie.
I am pretty hippie
But
too.
I have this thing that they don't have.
We can break out the drums if you want.
I have this thing that hippies don't have. It's called a job. So I don't have time to sit. Here's what I love about hippies. Or hate about hippies, whatever. They're always like, money's evil and corporations are evil and we don't need money and we need to protest things. And then when they need to protest things and they got a petition, they're like, so can we borrow some of your money to do it? Oh, you want to borrow my fucking money now? Go get a fucking job, hippie. My father always, this is so funny. As a comedian, you don't make any money unless you're like doing really well. My father, every time he'd see a busker or some comedian, he'd always say the same thing. And he'd look at him and go, anything not to get a real fucking job.
Well, that truck fatality the other day where the truck went through the light and hit the car, if row 8 was in,
fuck.
that wouldn't happen.
What's that?
If row 8 was going through,
That's true.
Where was this?
it was near Armadale Road and Tonkin Highway, something that the lady was going to turn right, and the truck was doing it was a green light. She went to turn right. The truck was doing 80 k's, went straight through a red light. She died instantly. It went 200 metres down the road, the car, and the truck driver could be facing 10 years in jail for reckless driving because he didn't even attempt to slow down. So,
I was driving one time. This is in Colorado. I was at the local kind of like mall shops, right? And as I go to turn left, I've got the left arrow. This prick coming in a big SUV, a big 4-wheel drive. It's on a phone looking like this, blown through a red light when I had the green arrow. I started to pull out. And I was like, they're not slowing down. I stopped, just flying by, only 3 meters from the front of my
I've saved
car.
myself a few times by that. Always be
Fuck's
aware.
yeah, we'll see that.
Always
And
be
then
aware.
this lady goes, "Oh, well, it's the truck driver's fault." We'll say, "Well, hang on a second. A red light. He saw it from a couple of 100 metres away. He didn't even start to slow down. He's doing 80 k's through the light.
Yeah.
Right. The woman you can see on the dash cam footage waited a couple of seconds, like you normally do at a green light, just to make sure no one's coming. She waited 2 or 3 seconds, then went, and she still got cleaned up. If she had have gone straight away, she would have been all right.
Jesus
Right.
Christ. A lot of close calls you get through in
Oh,
your
yeah.
life, don't you? It's
I'm really surprised that I've lasted this long. For years there, I was actively trying to kill myself, I reckon.
oh Jesus.
Well, mate,
Not actively
Yeah, oh,
trying to
gotcha.
kill myself, but just doing
Just
super,
general
yeah,
stupidity.
stupid
Is,
super dangerous shit.
Yeah.
you realise if I do that now, I probably would
were you
die.
involved in some kind of motocross thing or something like
Surfing,
that?
and just driving cars really, really, really fast.
Like professionally driving cars on a track?
No, he
Straight
thought he
fucking
was professional.
Drifting.
Yeah, I know
I'm
I know a guy
I'm
who's a race car
I'm a pretty
driver.
good drifter.
Really?
But, I've never drifted successfully on a track.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Now my mate bought a Cortina.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, right.
Like, he paid $500 for it, so we went to Freo, got us to Freo. This couple go, can you just lift home? They live around the corner from him in Hammy Hill. So we're like, all right. So they said we'll pay for fuel money, and they pulled out $30 in coins, right? First of all. And then coming down Winterfold Road, where that servo is, that United, got stuck in reverse. So we were going reverse the whole way to his house in Hammy Hill, near where Mass lives. Right, and we got there, and then the car, they got out, the car stalled, wouldn't start again, so he's just kicking the doors in and said, I'll just fucking leave it here.
Was it a blue station wagon?
No, it was like a...
Because I sold one of them.
Probably the same colour as bongo drums as four-door, but yeah.
You know what? The
Brown.
only thing worse than that $500 car you're speaking of is an Audi.
Yeah.
I bought a used Audi. Don't buy used German cars. That's my
They're
advice.
Italian.
Are they Italian?
Isn't
Don't
Oh,
buy
no,
Audi's
Audi.
German.
Sorry.
Audi's German.
Sorry, I was thinking Alpha. Sorry.
That's all right. Fuck
yes.
Audi. The parts are made of plastic, dude. We had a leak from people are, and the mechanics, of course. Oh, it's your radiator. Got to
Yeah,
replace
yeah.
your radiator. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
where's the leak? They're like, oh, we don't know.
Yeah.
Got to replace your radiator. I was like, I'm gonna leave it. But I kept having this leak. Couldn't find where it was coming from. Eventually, the thermostat housing exploded, and then I've taken it apart, and it's made of like hard pressed paper.
Yeah.
It's not even a plastic piece. But
Composite, yeah.
yeah, they're made to degenerate because they have to be in landfills and by German standards and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't get hot over there. So German cars, from what I understand, are shit here in Australia.
Pretty much any car that you ever drive, just don't turn the
Ignition?
the radiator cap all the way.
Ah.
Back it off a quarter, and it just sort of sits there and doesn't build up pressure.
Is that a general Australian rule?
Uh,
or is
I-
that if you have a
I-
leak?
I've
Unless you have a Holden.
Are you saying if you have a shit
I'm not
car?
a fully trained mechanic, but I've done like years and years of working as a mechanic.
Uh-huh.
And just by backing off the pressure that the
Mhm.
radiator cap gives, the radiator cap will never build up enough pressure to explode anything in any
Okay.
car. So it won't blow radiator hoses. It won't blow
Ah.
thermostat housings. It won't blow up radiators. It will
That's
still
brilliant.
build up a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
So if something is going to leak, it's going to leak, and you're going to know about it. But it's
Mhm.
but you will I first come across it because we got stuck in some country town in New South Wales with a head gasket.
Yeah, then you don't want to build pressure because it'll push in the
Into
water
the
into
and
the
you
oil.
lose all your water, and depending on how it is. But just crack it off. But realistically, I would never recommend having full pressure in your radiator ever.
Really?
Mm.
Huh. I'm going to have to research that one. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I can bring it up for you.
Well,
You probably see a thing up now about it.
my
Perfect.
Uncle,
Fact check.
My uncle swears by Audi. He's got a bit, and him and his missus.
He's
both
wrong.
got Audis. Yeah.
No, he's wrong.
So anyway, the gearbox went on the one they got. It cost them $1,800 just to get the gearbox fixed.
Yes. See, now this is the problem. I got this Audi. I fixed everything on it. Runs, dude. They're so fun to drive. They are so fun to
Front-wheel
drive.
drive
What's that?
or four-wheel drive.
No. It's just an
Front-wheel drive?
A4, right? So it's just front wheel
Right.
drive, turbo, 1.8 liter, nothing special, but it just sticks to the road. It just moves so nice. The problem is every time you need a part fixed, there's $3,000. So an engine's running perfect, and now the transmission. The computer inside the transmission, the guy said, that's what your problem is. I went, God damn it. He goes, it's a minimum $2,000 to fix it. He goes, do you want to just sell the thing? He goes, find somebody who just wants to replace the transmission, sell the car for half price. I was like, I'm going
The
to.
computers are actually external.
Well, there was something. I'm going to have to look into this because he said it was something that he
so you
thought
still
was.
own the car.
Yeah.
I can help you out with that.
Sweet. Because otherwise, my wife's going to kill
So
me.
BMWs,
Yeah.
I've got lots of experience with BMWs.
Okay, good. I have experience with non-American cars, non-Australian cars. I used to have a '72 Chevy Nova, And I reckon when I bought it for nothing. It was a piece of shit, right? And by the time I put a ton of time into it. I owned it for 11 years. I think I replaced every single part
It's
under
like
the
a
bonnet.
Tirana, right?
It's very similar. It looks very similar to a Monaro.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the difference is a good Monaro is worth something like $70. A great Monaro is worth like $350 if you've got one of those specialty GT
HO
350.
phase 3s
Yeah.
and phase... Well, there's only 3 phase 4s.
The most a Nova. A Nova is like a poor man's Camaro, and the most it'll ever be worth is like $20,000. Yeah, and you can
Wow.
and there's
At
so
the
many.
moment, if 10 years from now, it's going to be another 10. I
Yeah,
reckon.
well, in America,
Maybe.
maybe in America they're so plentiful. You know, they're commonly driven by, Mexicans. It's so funny. The Nova never sold well in Mexico because no ba, means no go. So they couldn't sell them. Did you know that the Pajero, another one, do you know what that means?
Spanish for, is it wanker?
Wanker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pajero. It means wanker.
I drive a Pajero.
Someone who plays with themselves for
I'll drive a
fun.
wanker. I'll drive a wanker. I'll drive a
Greasy
Pajero.
stick?
Yeah.
I like working on cars when you don't need to.
Is it your buy?
No, I just bought the last one.
Yeah, well, you're on that side.
I'm just,
That's the
I'm
deal.
Just, I'm just
Sit
writing
there.
down trailers for tonight. That's all.
I'd get up,
Sit
but
there.
I'm drunk.
Sit there. Get the beer.
I'm going to be... Did you say there's somebody joining us for the other one tonight?
No.
No,
This
you
is
are.
it.
Oh, Jesus. Dude, I'm going to be sloshed. I've had 2 beers on an empty stomach. I can't hold my alcohol.
Empty stomach.
I'm like a small Asian woman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You look a bit bigger than a small Asian woman.
But I identify as...
A lesbian. I identify as a lesbian.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair call.
Yeah, I'm a
Fair call.
lesbian. I like women.
That's a good call. I don't know. But I got nothing else, Scott.
There's plenty more.
Well, there probably is. I got nothing that's coming to mind.
You want to wait?
I should not have more.
Do I have anything in there
Besides this one?
besides that?
So I
There's
just...
some water. Oh, no, not from...
Oh,
I'll have whatever.
for Jiminy Cricket.
I was just... can I get you to go into the fridge inside and get some water and...
You can, but it's whether I want to or not.
Snap your fingers. Snap your fingers, Scott, and say,
Snap,
bitch,
snap.
give me my drink.
Didn't want
So I
No, the
just
magic
made
of television's going to work this out.
the best video.
Think so?
How long have you been... you've only been doing 2 of these.
This is the second one.
The second one. But then, do you do other social media stuff?
Lots that I don't talk about and not allowed to really
fair enough.
tell people about.
I did my
Um,
interview this morning. A guy who's been a journalist for 20 years.
The fridge inside. Yep.
He reckons in 20 years he's interviewed 1,000 people. And he said today was, this is an exact quote, the most boring interview he's ever done. Yeah! But I was purposely doing that because I had to explain myself about some hot water I've got myself into. So I didn't approach it as, let's talk about stuff. I approached it as legal proceedings. You know, I said, look, I'm here to answer your questions. I will answer them all honestly and accurately. But there was a couple of questions that he asked me. You know, why do you think it's okay to do this? And what I said was, that question presupposes my guilt. You're saying, why did I do this? You're saying that I did this, and you want me to admit that. I go,
It's a reason, not an excuse.
yeah. So I've said, look, the question I will answer is, do I believe this is okay? The answer is no. So anyway, it made for a very boring interview, but it was one of these situations where a lot of the interview questions, he was like, you know, it's not like a court proceeding, but it's the jury of public opinion. So it really is. And so I had a lot of his questions, 3 of his questions I had to answer with, I deny that statement is accurate. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with any of that, but that was so exciting today. Like I love getting involved in court cases. I purposely every time. So I refuse to do the speed limit here. I always do 6 over because it is my right as an Australian to do 6 over and pay my $100 fine.
Oh, if you want, if you look at it that way.
I reckon it's part of the road tax.
So, if your car was built before October 2006, your your speedo must be built to plus or minus 10%,
Okay.
and after October 2006, your speedo must be accurate.
Uh-huh. Well, they can only get you, like, they'll pull you over and they'll say, we got you doing 11 over, but the most they can give you a ticket for is 9 over.
Yeah, they got to cut it too.
Yeah, they got to cut it too. So then you don't get
It's a mile, but they have to round that down as well.
So you don't lose points, right? So what I like to do is I believe this is important. People probably think I'm an asshole for this, but I am not from here originally. So to me, it is very important to understand the legal system. If I ever get into a situation where I mistaken identity, that somebody kills somebody and they think it was me, and I don't understand the system, and I don't understand how to answer these questions, and I don't understand what a no-comment interview is, I'm going to get screwed. But now I know. You can say, look,
shut the fuck up Friday.
You can answer. You can ask me whatever questions you want, but it is my legal right to have a no-comment interview. So I will just say no comment to every question you say.
You also have a legal right to not actually have that interview at all.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
you can refuse an interview.
Well, I'm happy to do the interview. I'll just say no comment.
No,
Thank you.
It looks better in a court of law if there is actually nothing. If there's no video.
So like,
to a jury, to a jury.
Well,
only.
I'm not getting to that standpoint. But I take these.
A magistrate or a judge will look at the interview and I've done an interview where I've just denied, and it's looked really good for me.
Yeah.
But I've also done interviews where I've also fucking way off the planet and it looked really bad to me.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But if a jury was involved and they saw you doing no comment, it'll look really bad. They
assume guilt
to him, to the jury.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In a serious situation.
Refuse.
That's fair enough.
Refuse.
I like these. Like I get a speeding fine 8 over, and I will always take it. I'll always go, yep, I'll be there. Give me a court date. And
pay it.
No, fuck it. Because what I say is, they can take my money. They can take my $100, but they're gonna have to pry it from my cold, dead fucking hand. And the thing is,
they just add another $56 as a
not if you
cost.
win.
Yeah.
I win every time. I lost a couple, and I learned from that, and now I know how to win.
Okay.
I win every time.
Drive on the other side of the road.
Yeah. I don't understand. So the big trick is when you go in for your initial court date, which is not whether you're guilty or innocent, it's just to plead. You need to plead. And what I do is I just waste their time and ask 1,000 questions. And it's supposed to be a 3-minute thing, and I take 20 minutes. And then they go, oh, God. And then we set up another one, which is the actual court date.
Trial.
The actual trial date. And they almost always just dismiss it because they go, he's going to waste 20 minutes. We got to deal with these meth heads. That's what our priority is. I don't want to be here all damn day with this guy asking stupid questions about nothing. And then they don't even have any proof, especially if the ticket is taken from behind. The key thing I keep saying is, look, I don't know what to say because I can't see me.
Can we do a what's the word where you recreate a recreation?
A reenactment.
A reenactment.
We probably could, but I can't think right now.
No, not now.
Oh, yeah. At some point,
yeah,
I have all of my paperwork. I keep notes on everything about what I say and how I do it. And
that'd be fantastic. We could shoot that.
The thing is about it, I can't take legal responsibility for the fact if you screw it up, because one time I did screw it up and I got a fine. But the other times that I've won have well outweighed that. But it's important. There's a couple of things in legal proceedings that you need to say that I've learned. Number 1, allegedly.
Yep.
Okay? Yep. This alleged speeding infringement. They say I allegedly. The other thing is, I hope people will use this for good and not evil, like they murdered their spouse and then they're going to say these things. But the other one is when they ask you a question, you can't lie. That's wrong. That's perjury, right? But you are not legally obligated to recall. I'm sorry, I cannot recall what happened at that time. Well, this was only 3 weeks ago. Jimmy, it was only 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but I can't recall if I changed my boxers yesterday. Sorry, I cannot recall where I was that day. I cannot recall. Bill Clinton used that back with the Monica Lewinsky thing. Right? Brilliant. I cannot recall.
Well, when I went on my Kentucky tour, I think it was 2009 to the US.
Mm-hmm.
I was leaving 2 days before we're due to vote. So I rang the Electoral Commission and I said, I'm going to be away, how do I vote? Do I do an absentee vote or what do I do? They said, no, you don't have to do anything. And you know how they record your phone calls, right? So I come back after 5 weeks, my driver's license has been suspended because I didn't vote, right? So I have to go to court.
Yep.
So I go to court. I said, hang on a second. I rang the Electoral Commission and they said I didn't have to. I asked them, and so they played the phone call back. And here's me saying, what vote do I have to do? Do I do an absentee? And they hear the other person on the other end of the phone saying, no, you don't have to do any voting, you'll be all right. And that was it. I got my license back and done. But because of the recorded phone calls, because you know when you ring up and they say if you don't want the call recorded, let them know. I always get it recorded just for that, you know.
I sometimes say I don't want it. I don't want it recorded just to upset them because then they have to go and turn it off.
Yeah.
Avi Yemeni. Are you familiar with this guy? The guy who recorded the thing with Jim Jefferies? So Jim,
I love Jim Jefferies.
The Jewish guy.
I like Jim Jefferies, but he was trying to he would ask Avi these questions, and then Avi would give an answer, then he'd ask him another question, give an answer, but then they would cross the questions with the answers and he tried to smear him.
People know that this is what's going. Well, he actually gave the question. He gave a proper answer to the questions.
Yeah.
It was just that Avi was actually purposely trying to go around the railway track and then give the answer.
Yep.
And that's what it's all. I think Avi was actually out there trying to discredit Jim Jefferies.
Yeah, maybe. Look, there's something to be said for that, I'm sure. But I do like the idea that you got to record your conversations these days. Yeah. You have to. And so I did my interview this morning about this hot water I got myself into, which I don't understand how it escalated so much. Yeah, I won't talk about it too much. It escalated out of control. And right away when we did the interview, I was like setting up cameras. I was like, do you have a problem with this? And he was like, nope. I'm like, fine, good. So I set up my 2 cameras, make sure I had both things recording, because then if what goes to print is not accurate, then the videos go to my lawyer. Just that simple. And I told the guy, like, can I get a transcript of what we've talked about today, what we're going to be talking about? He goes, oh, we don't do that. I go, look, it's as much for my benefit as for yours, because the amount of times in the questions he was asking me that he misquoted me, he goes, oh, you believe this, and you said this in your video. I never said that. Here's what I said at 36 seconds in. Here's what I said at 58 seconds in. So you got to watch yourself, because they're assuming you're underprepared. They're assuming you don't know how to defend yourself, because most people don't, and they are underprepared, and they don't go, and they feel bad, like, oh, I don't want to record the thing because then I look like an asshole. Look like an asshole. It's going to save you $10,000.
I've got a recording thing on my phone, so if someone rings me from a credit agency or whatever,
that's good.
I hit record and it records a phone call. So then if I ring them back later,
you get a lot of calls from credit agencies, do you?
I do. Yeah. I just don't answer them now.
That's one of the few things that Android is better than an iPhone for.
One of the few things. There's quite a lot of things.
No, not really.
I like my Android because it's not Apple.
It's all right. I just don't want to sign up to iTunes. I can get everything for free off.
iTunes don't have anything of mine either. But they haven't had my credit card for a number of years.
For a number of reasons. I thought that's what you were going to say.
No, I've got a credit card.
Actually,
I don't have a credit card.
I don't pay for shit.
I don't either.
We have our debit cards that come directly out of the account. You can use as a credit card. I haven't had a credit card in 20 years. They just lead to too much bloody trouble. And my missus was always like, don't, like, so I come from a family that, look, we started off poor, but then my father's a really good investor in that. But my father, typical Italian, he just wouldn't spend money on anything. Right? He goes, how you get the rich, it's not his accent, is it? But how do you get rich spending money on stupid shit? I was like, oh, that's a fair call. So he wouldn't spend money on anything, just stockpiling it, right? But my wife's family comes from a very poor family, and so when we were in our 20s, she had a credit card, and I was like, I think it's a bad idea. And she's like, oh, I'll pay it off. But next thing you know, there's like $5,000 on the damn thing. I was like, give it to me. I'm cutting it in half. Fuck, that money, it just accumulates so quickly. Luckily, we had money in other places that were able to pay it off. But, dude, people get stuck behind that credit card bill at 19% or whatever the hell it is. You're screwed. Do people still do that?
Yeah. Christmas is one of the worst times for credit cards. Like, people just spend the whole year paying. One of my
there is 90 days interest free.
Yeah.
So if you take advantage
Or
of
you
the
can use
90 days
Afterpay
just
now.
free.
as
Or
well.
the other solution is when Christmas comes, tell your relatives to get fucked.
Yeah. Well, my ex-girlfriend, she
My
worked at
presence
Flight
is
Centre.
my present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
She
you
worked-
go.
She worked at Flight Centre.
Well
She
said.
used to book the flights on her credit card to America and stuff, and then just pay them off when she got back. But did you I saw you do a video. Have you got a house in Tasmania? Have you?
Yeah, I got a house in Tassie.
Okay.
Not really. It's a half a house right now. The guy's got to finish building it for me. Because I did most of the building, but then to make it look like not shit, I wanted a professional builder to finish it off. And so it'll probably cost me $40,000 or something for
Is
him
that
to
where you
finish
want to
everything.
move to, or are you just doing it for investment?
I
or-
would move there tomorrow.
Would you? You like Tasmania?
I love it. Greatest place in Australia.
It's not actually attached to Australia, so it's okay then.
Yeah, that's true. It's basically New Zealand.
Yeah.
Fuck 'em, let him have it.
Van Diemen's Land.
Yeah.
Van Diemen's.
Yeah, that's what it was called, Van Diemen's Land originally before Tasmania.
Ah. Is that because of the,
The Dutch
Tasmanian
guy.
Devils or something? Or
No, just Dutch named it that.
oh, okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
who brought that song out called Van Diemen's Land? Was it It wasn't Birds of Tokyo. It was another Aussie band. They actually wrote a song called Van Diemen's Land. But I was chatting to a guy yesterday. We had Easter lunch at my dad's house, and we were talking about the Aboriginals, their dialect. You know, how, like in Italy they have different dialects.
Yep.
And he just confirmed what I had always said to people is that the proper Aboriginal dialect is a form of New Guinean, because when New Guinea was attached to Australia, that's where when it broke off, the majority of the proper Aboriginal dialect is a dialect of New Guinean. Because
Oh,
when he was
crazy.
in New Guinea, they were talking very similar to what they do here. So,
That might be true in northern Queensland. But there's 257, 258 nations.
yeah, but when you see the
And-
full-bloodeds talking their
but-
language,
They don't even fucking understand each other.
no,
Like,
Don't you love how quiet I've gone? Here's what I tell everybody when they go, oh, they talk about Aboriginal anything. I go, mate, I'm a fucking immigrant. Not my
Yeah.
problem. No, I don't know anything about it. I'm just going to keep my head down in this conversation.
was it Ben?
So the dialects of Aboriginal people all throughout this country, they don't even understand each other
I know.
30 kilometres away. So,
know.
and they're all different dialects. Yeah, to say that is, we're going to do a fact check here.
What are we fact checking? The name of that band?
No, if
How many dialects?
if dialects can talk to each other.
It was also a movie. Van Diemen's Land was made into a movie as well. But I'm just trying to think of the
Lyrics.
song. Van Diemen's Land.
You too?
Was Van
You
Diemen's?
too, Van Diemen's Land.
Fuck
Hold me
you
now, oh hold me now, till this hour has gone around.
I don't like you two.
I'm gone on the rising tide.
Oh my God.
For to face Van Diemen's Land.
Well, there we are. Bono was doing some concert. Fucking Bono. And he's doing the thing, and he's doing his preachy stuff, and he's going, every time I clap, another African baby dies. And apparently some guy yelled from the back of the crowd, well, and it's called, can I say this? I don't know. It's called,
We didn't get that.
what's that?
We didn't get that.
We didn't get what?
What were you just talking about then?
Do you want to start over? It's gone. We
It's
lost
alright.
it. All you got to know is Noah got fucked by Ham. There's nothing else to know. Not like a ham hock, just like a
So
guy
would you
named
say-
Ham.
So would you say ham porked? No?
I wish I had come up with that. Too bad I already released that video. Shit. Oh, that is so good. I
You
should
gotta hold
have
up.
put pork.
He's got a dad joke sign.
I can still, you know what? I'll go back and I'll change the title in YouTube to Ham Porked Noah.
So okay.
I need your pen. Porked.
So my argument was always that
You've made it to my YouTube.
Joe, but so Lot was dying, and his two daughters raped him for his seed before he died.
It might have been 3 daughters.
Uh,
But it might have been 2. I can't remember. I haven't. That's my next video.
Yep.
But it's been 8 years since I've reviewed this stuff. Yeah, that is. You've done well.
So-
do you know who Lot's cousin was?
Back lot. I don't know.
Maybe. Abraham.
Uh,
Abraham.
Dad joke.
Dad joke.
Oh, was it that joke?
Yeah.
It's,
I missed
He
that.
holds up
Yeah.
a sign like back lot. You know. He holds up a
Uh-huh.
sign.
Shit.
Joke, yeah. Who's this shit?
I did a dad joke in my last video. Did you see that one? I thought it was funny.
Which dad
I
joke
said
was that?
something about something back, and I went more like. I don't even know what I said now.
Oh yeah, it looked
More
like
like
a laneway and
back
there was-
door
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know what the hell I said. Ridiculous. Nothing better than a good dad joke.
So Lot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's cousins with Abraham.
So Lot was the guy that walked out of that town and his wife got turned to stone. Was that?
That's
John?
correct. Yes, got turned to a pillar of salt.
Salt.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Because she turned around and looked back on the burning city.
That is correct. They what burning city?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Correct. You're good at
so-
this game.
So, you know that the references between like it's known as the Bhagavad Gita. You know the Hindu scriptures.
I don't do Hindu scriptures.
So
I do the Bible. That's it.
So the Hindus talk about a big war that they had.
Okay.
So there's evidence of atomic warfare in the early Hindu scriptures, and that is actually has synonymous with Sodom and Gomorrah. We can explore this.
Well, I don't know
elsewhere.
about all of that there nonsense, but what I do know is from what I've read that the hills around or the mountains around Sodom and Gomorrah were known for having earthquakes and being volcanic. So, this idea of fire falling from the sky could have been a volcanic eruption.
I thought Sodom and Gomorrah would be like modern day Syria.
Sodom and Gomorrah are south of Jerusalem. They're south
Last
from
January.
memory. Again, you'd have to fact check that one. But I believe they're the south side of the Dead Sea? Could be.
So like
Probably not.
Ethiopia.
That's a different
Is
country.
it SODON?
So like Ethiopia.
Sodom is
Gomorrah.
SODOM. Yeah, what's that?
So like Ethiopia.
I don't think they're that far. That's south. That's way south.
Dead Sea, not the Red Sea.
yeah,
Sorry,
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Black Sea is Russia or some shit, isn't it?
So that's the
Or is that Turkey or?
that's still north.
Yeah. So Dead Sea is the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, Dead Sea is
So because it's the same.
the Sea of Galilee flows into the Dead Sea.
The reason I
so
think
then
it's probably
into
the Dead Sea is the high salt content, and
Yeah.
that's where Lot and his missus were walking away from. Rachel, maybe, I don't know.
I've
what
actually
her
got
name
some
was.
salt here from the Dead Sea.
Do you
that I actually
really?
bought off an Israeli girl.
She
in
just
the middle
sold
of a
you
mall.
salt.
Oh.
She's Jewish. She sold you salt in a little pack and made you pay a lot of money for it.
Yes, it was
These
about
goyim are stupid.
$80 for 3 thingies.
So-
she gave me her phone number and everything.
That was worth the money.
Historically, Sodom and Gomorrah are possibly located under or adjacent to the shallow waters of Al-Lisan, a former peninsula in the central part of the Dead Sea in Israel that now fully separates the sea's northern and southern basins.
Oh, okay. So there's two lakes and it's in the middle.
So all of your Genesis stuff is allegory.
That's not
though.
far from Jerusalem.
No, correct. Yeah.
That's what you're
I mean,
saying.
to them it was far, but
Yeah, because everyone had to walk everywhere.
yeah. Where's the car? Oh, fucking we'll walk. It can't be that far. Anyway, the whole thing about the Lot and his missus turning to a pillar of salt, all that stuff is allegory, made up shit, because they know, what are those things called? They're called diaphers, I think. And in that area, so I think it's called a diapher, is where the pressure pushes up and little bits of water come out. But they're so salty that when the water then dries, you're left with this salt ring. And then it pushes up higher and
It's
higher
like
and
a
higher.
salty artesian spring.
Something like that. So you end up with these really high pillars that one of them, which was really tall, the tallest one in the region, they called Lot's wife.
Yeah, right.
Or they
So
still...
do you reckon Lot just killed his wife or left her to die? Or
I reckon there
came
was...
up with his other story.
I reckon there was no Lot and there was no wife.
Cover up,
Like when I go through this whole thing about Noah's descendants and all that stuff, it's all allegory, right? The Jews were looking for ways to explain why their worst enemies, well, they were the Israelites
allegory
at that
just
time.
meaning stories.
Yeah, allegories is like a story where you've got characters that represent a whole group of people, I guess. That would be
Yeah.
something like that. So you've got Japheth, who was nobody, but you've got Shem, who was the father of all these people, the grandchildren, the grandchildren's grandchildren, and the final one that comes out is Abraham. And Abraham was like your first father of the Jews, father of the Israelites.
Yeah, it's an Abrahamic religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Jews,
you have
Christians, Islam.
you have in this story that Ham's son was Canaan, and the people that eventually came from him was the Canaanites, right? And now, if you're an Israelite in 2000 BC, what do you know? You know these Canaanites are bad. How do we know they're bad? Because this old story tells us why they're bad. And the whole story is Noah had 3 sons. One fucked him in the ass. Those people are heathens. The Canaanites are heathens. They fucked Noah in the ass. So it's all allegories. It's all before a time of recorded history, so it can't be anything else. But to the devout Christian, they go, yeah, but we believe that it was passed on.
God.
Yeah. So, but how are you going to convince somebody when they go, well, I believe that I'm a piece of chocolate cake? Well, fucking, I guess I can't disprove that. I take a bite out of you, you don't taste like chocolate cake, but I believe I'm chocolate cake. Okay.
Full disclosure, I'm like a nihilist Satanist.
Uh-huh.
So I have no beliefs. I believe in nothing. There is no...
Well, then you're not a Satanist.
I have thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Did I say masquerading as a Satanist?
Maybe,
Sorry.
no. I don't know.
Yeah, so you were talking about Canaan, right?
Yep.
It says here, according to Torah, the kingdoms of Sodom and Gomorrah were allied with the cities of Admah, Zeboim, and Bela. These 5 cities, also known as the cities of the plain from Genesis, were situated on the Jordan River plain in the southern region of the land of Canaan.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All the bad shit was
Dead-
happening in Canaan.
Like Canaan as
So
as Ham's-
the Dead Sea is an extension of the River Jordan.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
it empties into there or something like that.
So what-
And then I
Yeah, but
think
then
the
it
Dead Sea
but
doesn't
then
have
it
any...
continues on as well.
What does?
And it's still all the River Jordan.
But I don't know. Nothing doesn't. Don't. Does the Dead Sea not have any waters that exit from it?
Well, it doesn't anymore. It's just a place where everything evaporates.
Yeah.
I saw a
What? Once upon a time, there
I
used
saw
to
a
be.
documentary where
I guess once upon
it
a
was
time could have
actually
been forever.
navigable all the way to the Red Sea.
Oh wow, how interesting.
There's a map. There's maps. Do you know what's his name? The guy that talks about the ancient lost civilizations.
No.
I'll find it out.
If you mention his name, I'll still say no.
The I was told, I don't know how
Unless it's
true it is,
Carl
but
Jung.
with Cain and Abel, who killed who?
Cain killed Abel.
So I was told when I went to one of my 2 times at church,
Christmas
Abel-
and Easter.
that Abel-
That's a Catholic.
that Abel lived. No, that was before that. That Abel lived to 1,000 years.
No.
Right? And Cain was 100. But once Abel was killed, that's why we only live to 100 years old now, not 1,000 years old.
Nope, that's incorrect.
Is it?
Cain killed Abel. At the time, Adam, when he had Seth, their 3rd son, their 3rd child, Adam was only 130 years old.
Okay.
So, therefore, that doesn't work. The oldest person in the entire Bible, the second oldest person was Noah. I think he made it to 950 years old.
Okay.
The oldest person in the Bible is Methuselah, 969 years old.
Because that's what I read it or heard it somewhere, that's why we only live to 100 years, because of Cain who killed Abel, who lived to 1,000 years or something.
I don't know.
Who was
It
the
doesn't say that
Who
in
was
the
the
Bible.
first person to walk with God and not actually die?
Maybe Ezekiel?
It started with E.
Could have been.
Who's the
Maybe it was Elijah. No, it was Ezekiel. I don't know. One of them
No,
said,
no.
I saw the face of God and didn't die. Ezekiel. I'm quite sure. Could have been Elijah.
Who was one of the sons of Adam?
Sons of Adam. Adam and Eve just had Cain and Abel and Seth.
How does things go? How does things go from there?
But this is the whole thing.
Sorry,
is
I was
everybody
wrong.
always wants
Hang
to
on.
say every
Cain died at the age of 730.
Cain.
This is
Okay,
still
yeah.
is still maybe allegories.
That's
like-
fair enough.
Yeah, I was just... Yeah, 'cause
It's-
that's
I just
what-
knew it wasn't 1,000 because nobody's made it to 1,000,
Yeah.
even by biblical standards.
Yeah, all right.
So did Cain have sex with Eve?
Maybe. She was hot. Dude, she was like a perfect creation. It wasn't until you get to Leviticus that they say you can't do that shit. So I guess for all of Genesis and what's the next one? Exodus, I suppose it's... Anyway, moving along. But everybody always wants to say, well, there was only Adam and Eve and Abel. Cain, rather. Only Adam and Eve and Cain. And so they must have had incest. You know, but the reason that doesn't make sense, as I have reviewed in my videos,
They do talk about other people's.
well, that's the thing. Is so Cain kills Abel. God says, like, you're fucked. You gotta get the hell out of here. And I think it's in like Genesis chapter 4, verse maybe 10. He like Cain's going, yeah, but if I go out into the wilderness, somebody's going to kill me. What? That doesn't make sense. There's no other people. It's just the three of them, right? And then he, in like the next verse, he gets to the land of Nod. So there was a place called the land of Nod that already existed. And when he got there, the first thing he did was take a wife. Where the hell did she come from?
Yeah.
So it's not an incest thing. It's that this Garden of Eden, yeah, maybe that's the first people God created, but maybe other gods created other people in other lands.
Well, Elohim in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bible actually means gods.
Yes,
Plural.
that's correct. El is so here's, and I got it again. I'll be examining this stuff. The Canaanite god was just known as El, and then somewhere along the line, the Israelites, because they're mixing together for 1,000 years or more, the Israelites had a god named El. You know, but then when the time came, they were like, yeah, but your God is stupid and our El is better. Like, and their El, like the Canaanite El, was like the sun god.
It's not like
And
they
they
do
were
that
like,
now.
ours is a god of everything, and ours is better than yours.
Is it EL?
Yeah, still El. But then it was when Moses goes and talks to a burning bush that he goes, hey, El, what's your name, dude? Like, I got to go back to these people and tell them that I know who you are. And he said, I am who I am, which I believe is what literally translates as the tetragrammaton, or grammaton.
The voice of God.
Well, no, it's just 4 letters. Tetra is 4 letters. Tetragrammaton is 4 letters, which is YHWH, right? Which,
Your way.
well, that's how we pronounce it now. But they stopped pronouncing it for like 1,000 years, so nobody knows how you actually pronounce it. So they've added an A and an E, and they say Yahweh.
Did I get that from Indiana Jones and the Lost Crusade? Or?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Abel was 122 when he died.
Who was?
Theoretically.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Theoretically.
Yeah, whole thing is
It's just bullshit.
what was time and who,
Yeah.
and then the whole thing is
How do we measure
who
that?
I was reading about this because they
Someone
talk
to
about.
write it down.
Well, there's interesting stuff about that as well. But the Sumerian kings, rather, the Sumerian kings.
Marduk.
Yeah, that was one of them, right? Those people lived to 22,000 years old. But did they? No, probably not. It was just that, you're the king, you're bigger, you've lived forever. So when they write it down, they're like, yeah, he lived for like 2,000 years. Oh, ours was better. He lived for 20,000 years.
And did they just think a day is a year and we call that a year now?
Maybe.
Or
Or were they just spinning
so
tails?
what is 22,000
Actually,
days?
This isn't to do. I don't know if this is to do with the Bible. Where did they come up with the names Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? Do you know where that come from?
No.
I thought that was Roman or
I'm not
Greek.
sure. I've never looked it up. I just thought maybe it had something to do
No.
with the Bible.
Here's an interesting little factoid, right? So we base our calendar, the Gregorian calendar, on the year Jesus was born. The problem is, Jesus was born in 4 BC.
Yeah.
He was born maybe in September of 4 BC. And the only reason they know that is because the Romans kept good records about when their different, what do they call them? They're not kings, but the people ruling the different areas. So Herod the Great, they know, died in 2 BC. And they know that the Jesus was, according to the Bible stuff, born 2 years before Herod the Great died. So that would put him about 4 BC.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
So he would have been 37 when he died.
No, I think
33.
Yeah. So they're about 37.
Plus
Correct.
4 years.
Yeah, that is. I don't do maths real good, but you are correct.
I can do addition.
So you've got obviously BC and AD, right?
Yeah.
So
BC
BC is before Christ,
Yes.
and AD is after death. Is that
And a
right?
domini.
But the
Yeah,
new
or after
terms,
death or
the new
whatever.
terms.
After dominion.
Yeah,
So,
that's
same thing.
something
So
like
if it's
Jesus
BC,
is-
if it's
Jesus
before
is-
Christ, how was he born?
Jesus
yeah, I
is
know.
dominion.
How was he born before
How
himself?
is it BC if it's before Christ?
Back then there was time travel.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what confuses me.
Totally random, but if for some reason it either irritates me or something, it's no longer BC.
Okay.
It's BCE,
BCE,
before the
yeah.
current era, and then CE is the
So
current
AD
era.
is not after death, it's Anno Domini.
Yeah,
So
but people just say after death.
it's,
Yeah, it's
no, it's
after
after
death for sure.
it's after birth.
Oh yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that makes a lot
Yeah.
more sense.
I've only ever heard of it as
Because
after death. so-
Jesus didn't die when he was born.
No,
He lived
But he wasn't born before he was born either, so how could he be BC if he's...
Well, he lived for 33 to 37 years
Did he?
after AD.
Did
So
he?
it can't be after death.
Now, this is something I will never talk about in my videos because I stay away from the New Testament. But that is, Jesus didn't die on the cross. Boom. That's
so
it.
the Roman,
Mind blown
so the Roman dude that stabbed him.
What Roman dude stabbed him?
with a spear on the side.
Yeah. Now, how many of the Gospels does it say that in? That's an important fact, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important fact that those fuckers could record.
Actually, out of
It
the-
only says it in the Gospel of John. I believe chapter 16, maybe. It only says it in the Gospel of John, and John is so you got three Gospels that are what they call synoptic, meaning they're taking the synopsis of here's what happened, and then you've got the Gnostic Gospel, which is John. John starts with, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. It's this cryptic shit,
yeah.
because John is trying to prove a point. He's trying to prove that Jesus is God. The other three are, here's what happened in Jesus' life. So, he needs to prove. Now, the other thing is, when was the Gospel of John finalized? Anyone?
300 AD.
No, it wasn't that late. Earliest 80 to 85 AD, latest 110. So if you got 80 years,
Finalized.
well, that's okay. There's all the stuff with what's his name,
Pope
Constantine,
Celestine.
and all that stuff, like 300 AD.
Pope Celestine.
What's that?
Pope Celestine.
Pope Celestine. Is that what you said? I don't know. I just know about.
That was the guy that put the current.
Quite possibly. I never studied that. Constantine, around 325 CE, is the one who said, look, we're going to put this shit together and we're going to make it sound good. We're going to mix it with other stuff so that we can get some control of people. So, was that the final? Who knows? I don't know.
Sorry.
But
Sorry, keep going.
the writer who was doing it early on, probably call it 100
I had no
AD.
idea that John was actually a Gnostic Bible.
Yes.
'Cause
I didn't know that either till I read it.
Talking about that spear, some of the churches I went to, some would have, God on the cross behind them with the blood on the side, and some wouldn't.
Yeah. And
It changes from church to church.
there's differences between the churches.
Yeah.
And then even within Catholicism, like you were raised Catholic, you said,
Yeah.
right? So, the 12 Stations of the Cross?
No, I only went to church twice.
Okay,
I
well,
never read the
within
Bible.
Catholic Church, there's this big thing, the 12 Stations of the Cross, and you go pray your rosary at each one of them or something like that. And the 12 Stations of the Cross, 3 of the stations, I don't remember which ones, 3, 4, and 7, I'll just throw out there.
Well, these just locations where the cross was in Jerusalem.
No. This is around your church. You have a
Okay.
picture of Jesus doing something. And then there's a picture of Jesus walking up the hill with his cross.
Yeah,
Then
right,
there's a
okay.
picture of Jesus falling down on his knee. Then there's a picture of Jesus up on the cross for the final one, right? So it's 12 stations of the cross. And Jesus in it falls 3 times to a knee and gets back up and keeps walking with his cross. None of that is in the scriptures. They're just making shit up. Not according to the Catholics, though. They say, look, we believe in oral tradition as well. Don't they just? So...
Love it.
yeah.
Love oral.
So they reckon that oral tradition is just as important as written tradition, whereas you have like your Baptists or your what is that Baptist? It's what do you call that kind of? Doesn't matter. Protestant type of Christianity.
Anglican Catholic.
Yeah, they will. Well, I guess.
British.
No, not
Roman
Anglican
Catholic,
Catholic. I'm
right?
talking about the Protestant versions, Baptists and shit like that in
Protestant
America.
is Anglican Catholic.
Okay, I don't know. I can't.
It's the British.
I haven't studied all that. I thought that Anglican was similar to Catholic. Well, you just said Anglican
They are,
Catholic.
but instead of the head being the Pope, the head is the head of the Queen.
Yeah. Okay.
So a Protestant is Anglican Catholic.
It's so funny. I am not well versed in religions or like if you ask me stuff about the Quran, I don't know. All
I
I
actually know
know.
a fair bit about that too.
The only thing I know is the Old Testament. The only thing, I know New Testament stuff, but I stay away from it because you can't, if you try to argue New Testament stuff, there's too much theology and too much faith and just people get angry. But anyway, Jesus getting stabbed in the side. So the only Gospels I think that you can trust for an accurate report is Matthew and Mark. That's what most scholars say because they're written around and finalized kind of around 45 to 60 of the current era,
so
and they
at
were
the end of their actual lives.
about that.
Perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Within a
So
time
someone
where you
did
can
a
go, I
memoir.
remember remember what happened 30 years ago. Let me write that
and someone
shit
wrote it
down.
rather than some Greek guy 300 years later.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why some of the books that don't make it, there's like the Book of Clement the First is like a really good gospel, but it wasn't really written until about 200 AD, CE. So they kind of go, that one doesn't count. And then there's other ones that are written about the right time. I could have that wrong with Clement. Maybe Clement was the one that was written around 60.
Written later, they're still in there.
There shouldn't be any in your, now maybe in the Catholic Bible, but in the Protestant Bibles, in the Baptist and stuff, if it was
They're near on the same.
Yeah, there you go. But there's 6 extra books that the Catholics have. I say extra; they don't consider them extra. But anyway, some books were written around the time of the Jesus, like the Gospel of Thomas, I believe, is one of those. But they kind of went, but it doesn't say the right shit, so we're not going to include that one. We don't like that author.
Excommunicated.
Yeah, exactly. So when they formed the canon, there is some arguments to be made that it's not
canonical.
So,
Yeah.
so you were saying he didn't die on the cross. Where did he die then?
well.
Or did he not die?
India, Kashmir,
Yeah, but how?
old age.
So, Jesus' lost years.
How old did he live to?
Yeah. Have you read a book called The Prophet?
Do you know
No.
That book is awesome.
Is the theory of Jainism in there?
I don't know.
So the Jainists were a very large religion in India at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So from 14 or 15 or wherever he was to when he came back when he was about 30 or something.
Yeah.
A lot of his stuff is very Jainist. Another person from antiquity who studied Jainism was Pythagoras.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And if you look at a lot of their theories,
Yeah.
Jainism, which was happening in India, flourishing in India at the time. The theory of him being on a cross and then being in a cave for 3 days. Like I spent the last 3 days in this cave. I only woke up today after a really good Friday myself.
You're my new Jesus.
It's not unheard of.
What, for people to have issues with that story?
Or to spend 3 days in the cave and come out of it.
Yeah, look,
And then go, I'm out of here.
one of a couple of interesting points is so. All right, so when you release a body, this is what my understanding of what I've read is when you release somebody who's been crucified, they're dead, right? Now, first of all,
most of the people that were crucified didn't actually die.
I don't think that's true. I think most of them probably did die. Because if you stay up there long enough, you're going to fucking die.
But he was only up there for like 24 hours.
Now this is the thing.
I could last up there for that long.
Now, the average death from crucifixion takes something like 36 hours. He was up, depending on whether you believe Matthew or Mark.
I don't believe so.
Well, whether you take, if you were going to say, as a Christian, you go, okay, we're gonna take what that says to be accurate. One of them says 6 hours, the other says 9 hours.
That's fuck all.
Yeah, but they go, but he was beaten severely. He was whipped. However,
That's pretty much all of them.
that's probably truth to that. The other thing is, where it says he was whipped and beaten and all this kind of stuff, and, like he's with Pilate, and they go, whip him, and so Pilate takes him indoors and then brings him out. And everybody goes, hey, let's see the whippings. And he went, no. So he had a purple cape on him, and people they make this assumption that the reason that Pilate put a purple cape on him was to humiliate him, make him look, oh, you think you're a king. However, just as easily, Pilate might have gone, look, we got to go back out there, because Pilate and Jesus have a conversation in closed quarters. Closed quarters? Whatever.
Yeah.
In a private room. There's nobody else in there. Right? But however, here's the interesting thing is the gospel writers go, here's what happened. Here's what they said. Now, Jesus might have reported to them, so that's possible. But they're in a private area, and Pilate and Jesus are talking. And Pilate says something to the effect of, where's your kingdom? And he says, mine is a kingdom of truth or something. And Pilate's going, what is truth? And they both stand there going, wow, this is cool. So then Pilate said something to Jesus like, look, I'm supposed to whip you, and I'm going to take you back out there.
Exactly.
For all we know, Pilate went, look.
Water,
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Pilate's gone, look, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put this cape on you so that nobody can see if you've been whipped. Then they ask, has he been whipped? And Pilate goes, fuck you, don't ask me any more questions. So did he get whipped? Did he get beaten? Maybe. But what I'm saying is there's the possibility that maybe not. Because Pilate was liking the guy. He goes, I don't find anything wrong with the guy.
It was Pilate's hole. It was Pilate's...
What happened to Pilate's hole?
So you know the hole that's the cave?
No, that is incorrect. I love saying that. It's like I know something.
Let me
Joseph.
fact check.
It was Joseph of Arimathea's tomb
Okay.
that he owned, his family
That's
owned.
the question. That's the...
So
Pilot's hole become a cockpit.
that's right.
I got the word for it.
So it was apparently about 100 meters away from the
Loves the
crucifixion site. It was a private tomb owned by Joseph of Arimathea. Now, when somebody is crucified, they get released back to the family. You never would release, apparently, the Romans would never release them to somebody who wasn't family. But Joseph of Arimathea was the equivalent of a high-level politician,
Yeah.
right? And he was part of the Sanhedrin, which was the court of the Jews. The court held by the Jews. The Pharisees ran it, essentially, right? And I think that's correct. And then him and another guy, Nicodemus, who was also a wealthy man, they take the body, take it to the tomb. And it says that they did things with the body that were in line with, bless you, in line with Jewish burials. However, that is inaccurate. People just go, oh, well, the Bible says it was in line with Jewish,
That must be right.
but it wasn't, because I've asked a rabbi. I actually emailed a guy, and he got back to me. He goes, no, that's not really Jewish burial customs. It would include things like myrrh and aloes, but it was like the equivalent, they said, of like 3 pounds. But according to the scriptures, Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea brought in like 70 or 80 pounds of those things. So what do you use aloes for? Wound healing. Myrrh is like an antifungal. So they packed his body.
Yeah, it's antiseptic, antifungal.
So they've packed his body in all this stuff. He's got some holes in his hands. He might have some whip marks. They pack him in it for 3 days. After 36 hours, he's like, let's get the fuck out of here. Now, this is a private... and they got the apostles, or Mary Magdalene went there. And she goes, and the rock was moved. What? By God. Well, fucking for all you know, some guys came and moved the rock.
Or it wasn't even put across when they put him in there.
Or, well, they say it was put across, right? But Jesus maybe rolled it. They make it sound like it's the heaviest rock in the world. The reason the rock was
Yeah.
there, it was a round, smooth rock that was rolled in front of the opening so that animals couldn't get in.
Yeah.
But if people could move it in, they could probably move it out. They know they have to get bodies at some point.
See the pictures,
so,
it's actually circular, so they can just push it.
yeah,
push it out.
but it's not like a boulder. It's like a
Yeah.
flat rock, I think. So it's like, I guess it's still 3-dimensional, but it's mostly 2-dimensional, right? And so people could roll it. So people could, but you can't work on the Sabbath. However, so that's why they go, well, people couldn't have come there and rolled it because it was against Jewish custom. You couldn't work on the Sabbath. However,
Dark.
Jesus's followers worked on the Sabbath. They believed in working on the Sabbath because Jesus healed the withered man's hand on the Sabbath, because he said it's good to
Hang on.
work to do right things,
Hang on.
to do good things.
So I thought Saturday was the Sabbath for,
Saturday is the Sabbath.
for Jewish people.
It starts Friday night when the sun goes
So
down.
Sunday Sabbath
Sunday
didn't
once
actually fucking exist.
Well,
This is the start of Christianity.
at night, it did, like before the sun came up. I think the Sabbath ends once the sun comes up on Sunday morning. So you've got about that kind of 36 hours. So was Jesus in the grave for 3 days? I guess he was there for part of Friday, then for Saturday, and then for part of Sunday. So
Yeah.
technically,
Theoretically.
yeah. But maybe.
So were you were saying you studied for 5,000 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Were you pushed into it in America as part of the thing, or did you just do it because you're interested in it?
I did it because I was interested in
You
it.
just wanted to troll
One of the troll. Yep.
people coming around to your door, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
that's actually my reason for
The best answer I've heard when people come to the door of the Jehovah's Witness go, "Have you found Jesus?" You just you go, "Look, I don't know. You look out the front. I'll look out the back."
whatever they are, Mormons or Jehovah's Witness or something. Come in, have a beer. As soon as I go
You want a
inside,
joint?
as soon as they're inside, I'm like, okay, so Jesus ascended to heaven, and so did all these other guys. How do I do that? I really want to know how I do that. I've just cornered them.
You know,
and they
interestingly,
fucking don't know anything.
Do you still go to church now?
I gotta start going again because that's where you get your fuel for your fire.
Yeah, right.
You know, if
Give me that
I'm
which I
just around
desire.
Australians who are not really religious, then I never get upset about
Yeah.
anything. I was supposed to go to synagogue on Friday,
Yeah, right.
but we had to postpone it until the
Can I come?
first week of May.
I've never been.
I've never been
To a
either,
synagogue.
but I'm not like associated with any synagogue. So I know a Jewish guy who goes, look, I'll take you to my synagogue, which is somewhere in Yokine. So I've never been to synagogue in my life. I am excited. I don't know why. Did you wear one of those little
Yarmulke?
yarmulkes? Yeah,
Yarmulke?
yeah, yarmulke. Yamaha is a motorcycle.
I said Yarmulke. I
You
don't
did?
really
I
know.
think that is
I don't know.
actually.
So when your car's not working, you ring Scott. Go, yeah, my car's not working.
Yeah, that joke.
See what I have to deal with?
The favorite one I like is my brother-in-law and I were talking about going to yoga, and he said, nah, namaste home.
Yeah.
That was a good dad joke. I like that one. Oh, well. That is shut us down. And that's the end of it. No.
So you got any dates coming up?
If my wife finds out, she'll be furious. Is that a dad joke?
Do we want to put it on the other show?
So you still
or
Any
we're
dates?
just gonna wind,
You mean
we're
dates
just
for
gonna
me
wind
doing
this one up?
me doing dates for stand-up?
Yeah.
Yes, 26th of April at the Pig's Bottom.
Where's
That's
that?
somewhere in North Perth.
Oh, okay.
Pig's Bottom Comedy or something. I believe it's in North Perth.
26th of April.
26th of April. Next Friday
What
probably
time?
starts at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
I think it's a $10.
Are you headlining?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course he is.
I don't
Look at
even.
him.
I don't even know.
Don't know.
Dude,
He's an
I just-
Adonis. Of
here's-
course he is headlining.
Yes, I am.
And how many comedians are on the night? Do you know?
I'm going to say about 8,
8. Okay.
maybe 10. Yeah, most people do 5 minutes. It's interesting because sometimes I show up because what I tell a lot of the different clubs is, look, if they like, oh, we're gonna have you a headline, and then I show up and they're like, there's no MC here. I'm like, I'll MC. Doesn't
So-
matter to me.
The comedy you're doing now, like this one for example, is separate to Flying Camel. Is that have you left Flying Camel? Or?
When you say left Flying Camel, I still love Flying Camel with a passion, but I do not run anything to do with Flying Camel
Okay.
anymore. I've turned that all over to Jiggy because I couldn't be in 3 places at once.
Yeah, right. Okay. So this
Shout out to Ziggy.
Is this just under your name? Or
No,
under
this is
another-
not. This is not a gig I'm running.
Oh,
This is
okay.
run by Nick Hunter, and I believe it's Theater Garden is the name of his company.
Yeah, right, okay.
But the Pig's Bottom, yeah, is what you would look up online, I think. Anyway, so I don't run anything with comedy anymore. I'll perform for people when they're like, "Hey, you want to do a gig?" I'm like,
Okay.
"Yeah,"
But
but I'm focusing primarily on
You
video.
did start Flying Camel with Ziggy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we started it together. Correct.
Are you going to the grand final this year of Flying Camel? Is
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
Is it?
the comedy competition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the final because we're going to be filming that again. As well.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be there.
Are you going to be
You
in
know,
it?
he
Or are you
has
just
to
gonna
be.
I-
No, he has,
look-
to, he has to be in a heat first.
MC?
Well, no, it's more for new comedians.
Or you could
I mean, I'm not.
Do you think
that
you could wild
seasoned.
card it?
Well, because
Yeah.
if Jason's moving to Melbourne, he probably won't be there to MC, and they
Yeah.
don't need an MC.
Yeah,
So.
I'll MC or Tim Kershaw MC,
Yeah.
John Pino rather.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Joe Pino.
I like
he's
Pino. He's
good.
a funny
Yeah.
bastard, isn't
I
he?
like the two dudes that do the trucks and all that. The voices.
Oh yeah,
They're
yeah,
pretty
Nick
good
and
too.
Frankie.
Yeah.
Yep. They're
Yeah.
good blokes. It's interesting because they're a bit older, right? So they did comedy. They did like 15 years back in like the 80s into the 90s, and then they've made a comeback because now they don't have full-time
bored.
jobs anymore and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
and people were like, "Oh, these old guys, they do old jokes and blah blah blah." But dude, they're finding their feet real quick, and because you just you start updating your material again. They've been professional comedians. It won't take them real long to end up with stuff that's super entertaining, and they're already very entertaining,
It's only old
and they got good stage
old
presence.
material if you heard them back in the 80s.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah,
certain
exactly.
jokes.
Yeah.
There's certain jokes you can't do now that you could do in the
Yeah,
80s.
okay.
I mean, I say that I was just testing some stuff. The other day that-
Retard.
Yeah. You're not supposed to say retard. You're
It's
not.
like the Black Eyed Peas. They had to change the song from let's get it started in here instead of let's get retarded in here is originally what it was.
Yeah. Yes,
No,
that's
they
correct.
still say retarded.
Yeah, but when they play
Let's
live,
get
it's supposed to be
retarded
started.
in
The
here.
crowd says
Let's get
retarded, but
retarded
They had to,
in
and like Killing Heidi, they had a benefit on for someone and had to change the name to Saving Heidi.
Yep.
And there's a band called She Had,
Yeah.
and they had to change their name to something else because it's too close to Jihad when they played a certain concert.
No,
Yeah.
no,
They
they
changed their name to
Fact
Pacifier.
check.
To Pacifier is what they changed the name to
because
for that gig, but it was because they said it was too close to Jihad. That's why they changed it. It was that one. I definitely
Scott
know.
says, "Nah."
Computer says yes.
fact check.
Jamie.
So they had to change their name to She Had because there was already a Pacifier US band.
Boom. Take that, bitch.
No.
That's
no,
what-
I
The
will
name
not.
was originally She Had.
Anyway, other than that, I have no specific dates. I used to gig like 2 to 3 times a week over the last 4 years, but now I've been dude, it's so time expensive, time consuming to do video and video editing, and then I've been trying to host a couple of shows and stuff like that. So that's where most of my time is being spent now. For the next couple of years, I will mostly be trying to do online video excitement.
I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of your Dirty Church.
Thank you very much. I love it.
I think that it can go so many places and disrupt so many people.
Once I can hit America, once I get any kind of following in America, I don't know how you do that yet, but I'll just keep producing content and get it better and better.
A lot of people look at it. You know?
Well, I understand
Share
that.
it with friends in
Yeah.
America.
Well, so far I'm up to all of like
Actually-
48 followers,
Actually, you might
subscribers.
even be able to put it on Amazon Prime.
See, I got to look into all these things. And one of my mates who's
It's free
gone,
to put it on there.
One of my mates who's done very well in the YouTube, he's very well. He's put in his effort for a couple of years, got himself up to 11,500 subscribers.
He'll be getting monetized then.
Yeah, and he was starting to get monetized. Exactly.
The whole hundreds of dollars.
Well, that's just starting. Like I said, starting to get monetized. To be properly monetized, you need 1 million
Well,
subscribers.
there's a Lego guy called Jang Bricks, and he has 1.6 million subscribers.
Yeah, then you're making money.
Right? And he earns 85,000 a year from them.
Yeah.
Because you have to get monetized, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 minutes.
So is he
of-
weekly making
4,000 hours.
weekly
No,
videos?
But the money
Twice
he gets paid
weekly
monthly.
video?
I don't know how often he posts, but getting back to
It's
a
it's $1 per 10,000 views.
yeah,
Or is it per 1,000 views?
1,000.
10,000.
Oh, Jesus.
1,000 I think it is. Isn't it?
10,000.
Is it? Okay. So she had a rock band from New Zealand formed in 1988. The
So we're both wrong. We're both.
No,
It's
I
not
said they
Aus-
started
it's
as She
Australian.
Had. Yeah, but they weren't Australian band. Right? The band was known as Pacify between 2001 and 2004.
Bam.
Boom.
You know what's a crazy thing? I was having an argument with a mate.
I was right.
No, you weren't. You said they started as Pacify and had to change their name.
We'll have to replay the video and go back to the transcript
That's what it
in
says.
order to find
No, they
out
started as She Had
who's right
in 1988.
and who's just a bald
And
dickhead.
then changed the name to Pacify because
No, the band was formed in 1988.
as She Had was formed in 19 and
Okay.
changed the name to Pacify.
Now on to my fun fact about bands. You remember the song Jump? Everybody
Van
jump.
Halen?
Yeah.
No, not that one. The second one. Maybe it was Jump Around. That was it.
By Criss Cross?
No, fuck, you're right. That's not the song I'm thinking of. It was
Oh, you nailed it,
Everybody Jump. Jump. It's and they were like an
Jump
Irish
around.
American. Yes.
Jump up and jump and get down.
Yeah, this song.
Jump.
Oh, yeah.
Jump, jump.
Yes.
Jump.
Yeah, I know the song.
That
yeah.
song in America was released by Anthony who? It was released by,
We've already said it.
No idea.
and then there was another band in Australia that released that same song because the lead singer was the lead singer of both bands or something like that. And so I was having an argument with an Australian guy. He was like, "No, I'm telling you it's this band." I was like, "No, I'm telling you it's this band." And it's all dependent
Jump
on
up,
where you were.
jump up and get down.
Everybody.
It is Safari cannot open that page.
You're gonna have to edit this
House of Pain.
House of Pain was the
Okay.
American one. Now look who the lead singer was for House of Pain, and see what other band he was associated with.
So this is what year you reckon?
90.
say.
Nope. I'm gonna go with 92.
Hard
Wow.
Bam, 92. So
Jesus, that's forever ago, dude.
So, as I was saying, right, the name She Had was chosen after the members of the band saw the film 1984 film Dune, or June, or whatever
Dune.
um,
My father loved that film.
based on Frank Herbert's classic of the fiction novel of the same name, which uses the term jihad in an approximation. So that's why they had to change the name to Pacifier when they played
Fair
a certain
call.
gig.
does it actually say that's why they had to say it there?
I'll read further, but that's why they had to change it.
This podcast
It's the same,
is
that's
falling
That's why
apart.
Killing Heidi had to change it to Saving Heidi.
It's
We can edit it.
that's good because we got to the point where we started talking about religion. Now we're going downhill, and then
I can't see anything else but House of Pain.
Does it say lead
Well-
singers?
look up the song, and then see if there's somebody else released it here. My mate was adamant about that. Adamant.
Lead rapper Everlast.
I don't know. What's the name of the song? Jump Around?
Hang on, I've gone deep.
God damn it, now I'm going to have to do a
Okay.
facts check as well.
Okay, so in 2002, in the big day out,
Jump around.
she had T-shirts made,
Excellent.
right?
She had.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It had she had on them.
He doesn't drop it once
No,
he
no, listen.
gets his teeth
You're
into
just
something.
asking about pacifier. That's all.
I wasn't
So-
asking about it. I don't care.
So with she had on
This
them.
is why
and
we
it
got
had-
fact checks.
and it
So
had
we can
remote
just-
printed below.
we can do
Right.
fact checks later.
But because remote was indicating to the new name, it was too close to another name. That's why they set it on pacifier, because of the word remote, the name they had on there.
Anthony's just making shit up.
So in the future, we just do fact checks later.
Whatever.
But now I'm set. Jump Around.
Who was the band?
Well,
House of Pain.
House of
yeah, it was House of Pain.
Yeah, the only ones I knew was Van Halen and Crisscross. That's why I thought it was them. I know the one you're talking about, but I had no idea who sang it. That is a long time ago, 92. Fuck. How long
So we're gonna do an Andy.
Hold on. I'm angry.
Fuck yeah.
Somebody else. You have to see who that is. Somebody else released it in Australia, but it was the same lead singer or something. And they were also another
House of Pain.
semi-famous band. House of Pain only had one good song, and that was Jump Around. But this other one had like a few good songs. Anyways, moving along.
Yeah,
It's
no,
time to bring this all to a close.
We can research that later.
Yeah.
Do we just smile now?
Make it look really creepy.
Thanks for having me. Bad
Anthony?
things happened while I was here.